Chapter 411. Round 4 Lu Qing wins. The final result, Songqing University Martial Arts Club wins. When the referee announced the first word, Li Mao, Sun Jian, and the others rushed to the arena excitedly, shouting Yaya without any scruples. If Lu Qing had defeated Peng Liyun or Fang Zhirong in the last round, most of them would not have reacted so quickly. They would not have believed it and would have been too surprised to believe it. However, after going through 2 tough battles and their opponent was xuanhuan, whose supernatural ability was completely restrained by Lu Qing, they were already full of expectations. They were waiting for the moment when the referee announced the result. Champion. Champion. In the cheers of the audience, xianxia, who was the strongest among the substitutes, rushed to the arena like a nimble deer and hugged Lu Qing. At this moment she could no longer suppress her surging emotions. In front of the audience and the fans watching the match, she openly showed her affection. Who cares? Anyway, my dad knows it. During this process, she was so excited that she forgot herself and carefully avoided touching her boyfriend's injured right arm. Compared to his companions who were mentally prepared, Lu Qing was more absent-minded. He had reached his limit in all aspects, so he was quite confident that he could defeat xuanhuan. Although he was confident, he was not certain. The worst-case scenario was to create a sure-win condition for Little Fairy to enter the arena. Suddenly winning was like a dream. It wasn't until a soft and hot body with a familiar and charming fragrance fell into his arms that he woke up from his dream. Rolling with joy, he asked the girl with an uncertain tone, "What's wrong with you? Are we the champion?" "Yes." Xianxia nodded vigorously, her eyes shining brightly. "We are the champion." Looking at her boyfriend, who could not hide his tiredness in ecstasy, and smelling the obvious sweat on his body, she did not feel dirty or disgusted. Instead, she thought Qing was really handsome now. Feeling excited, she opened her pink lips and was about to stand on tiptoe to give Lu Qing a deep kiss in front of the audience. When Lu Qing regained his senses, he felt his emotions explode like a bomb. Unable to restrain himself any longer, he lowered his head, intending to fiercely kiss his little fairy and share his inner feelings with her while helping each other in need. Just as their eyes met and they were about to lose control of their kiss, Kai Zongming and the rest rushed over and surrounded Lu Qing. Some hugged his waist, some lifted his legs, and some grabbed his shoulders. "Champion." They cheered and threw Lu Qing into the air before catching him firmly. "Champion." The celebration ceremony was still going on. Xianxia took a step back and unconsciously touched her pink lips with her right hand. She was both surprised by her loss of control and regretful that it was interrupted by her teammates. Flying in the air, Lu Qing turned his head and looked at the beautiful cuckoo. He gave her a happy yet helpless look, expressing his regret. When their eyes met, Xianxia giggled like 100 blooming flowers. Then she thought of something and hurriedly and worriedly reminded him, "His hand is injured. Be careful, be careful." "Champion. Champion." In the stands, Yan Kai listened to the enthusiastic shouts and witnessed the excitement of his daughter and the Songqing University Martial Arts Club members. He took a deep breath and gave a neutral comment while recalling Lu Qing's previous performance. "His willpower is good and his strength is strong." Ji Mingyu had sharp ears and eyes. She chuckled and said, "My daughter's taste isn't bad. When they first started dating, I didn't expect Xiao Lu to grow to this level so quickly." "Ah? What did you say? I can't hear you." In the deafening noise, Yan Kai, who was not very strong and had no supernatural ability, turned his head and asked in confusion. Ji Mingyu couldn't help but laugh. She glanced at her dumb husband and didn't want to repeat herself. She grabbed his hand and swung it up, shouting loudly, "Champion! Champion!" In this kind of scene, it would be very incongruous to have a refined appearance. Occasionally indulging like this is good for health. Driven by his wife, Yan Kai gradually blended into the surrounding atmosphere and temporarily gave up his usual elegance. However, there was still something in his heart that worried him. Lu Qing was young and had a promising future. Would he be tempted to indulge in debauchery and indulge in debauchery? There were too many similar examples to mention. As a father, he would worry if his daughter's boyfriend was not good enough. He would also worry if her boyfriend was good enough. He couldn't stop worrying. The 4th round, Lu Qing wins. The final result, Songqing University Martial Arts Club wins. In the emergency room, Lin Kei, who was tied with many instruments, suddenly exhaled when he heard the doctor's report. His tight body relaxed and his tightly clenched fists stretched out. He closed his eyes and a manly middle-aged man seemed to appear in front of him. "Dad, I did it. I got the Feiqian Cup," Lin Kei said to himself silently. The middle-aged man smiled faintly, his expression filled with relief. In the room next door, Bernhard and Mao Qingjun clenched their fists tightly, pain written all over their faces. They lost the championship that they were sure to win. Peng Liyun was lying on the bed. He didn't wonder or think. His expression was rarely sad and had a strong sense of loss. Since he started practicing martial arts, he had never encountered such a setback. I said I wouldn't take part in the university tournament next year. He smiled self-deprecatingly. At this time, Fang Zhirong had already returned to the locker room and buried his face in a white towel. Su Wanyin was supported by the staff. He endured the pain in his hip and slowly walked out of the arena. He didn't expect to end the match so beautifully in such a posture. The fourth round, Lu Qing wins. The final result, Songqing University Martial Arts Club wins. In the live broadcast room, the host Lu Chang reacted quickly and said with a smile, "Congratulations to Songqing University. Congratulations to Lu Qing and Lin Quebec. Congratulations to every member of the Songqing University Martial Arts Club for winning the championship of this year's National University Martial Arts Competition. Congratulations to them for winning the first national championship in the history of Songqing University." He finished in one breath and felt a little excited. Chen Sanxing was full of emotions as he continued the conversation. "I believe everyone can see that Shanbei is indeed stronger than Songqing University. However, Lin Kei's courage to sacrifice himself and his determination to fight for his life helped to bridge the gap between them. Lu Cheng's will to withstand the pressure and his performance as the heavenly son of the age brought them the final victory. What I want to say is that the strongest team lost, but the best team won. Congratulations to Songqing University Martial Arts Club. You are the best." After shouting these words excitedly, he took a breath and said with a smile, "Now I'm looking forward to seeing how my old friend will fulfill his promise." Looking at the chaotic replies on the Weibo interface, Xiaowei was stunned for a full minute. Then he clicked on the nickname change section with a heavy arm. After some preparation, he closed his eyes and blindly typed in a new nickname, Poison Milk Hierarch. Phew. As soon as he finished, he leaned back and closed his eyes sadly. He felt that his superstitious self had died. Crack. When the referee announced the result, all-knowing man in ganghood angrily slammed the table and smashed his hard-earned treasure into pieces. He felt a sharp pain in his wrist as if there was a wound. After calming down, he suddenly realized that the bet of "delete your account if Lu Qing reaches the inhuman stage" was not very safe. The fourth round, Lu Qing wins. The final result, Songqing University Martial Arts Club wins. In the dormitory of the School of Arts of Songqing University, Yan Shaoling thought that she would be so excited that she would post, drive, and celebrate. However, when she saw the result, she burst into tears. Her eyes were red and her vision was blurred. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy for Lu Qing and Lin Kei. After so many setbacks and so much effort, they finally won the championship. With tears in her eyes, she refreshed the forum and saw that it was full of champion posts. She cried even harder. It's not easy for everyone. Yan Shaoling subconsciously turned around and looked at Mu Jinyan. She was also crying. Her eyes were red and her face was smeared with tears. You are crying too. Yan Shaoling said in a choked voice. Isn't it a little inappropriate to use, "what a coincidence" at this time? Oh, I'm happy and worried at the same time. Mu Jinyan said while sobbing, Lingling, the effect of your wish is so good, that's. Yan Shaoling was a little proud in her teary eyes. Mu Jinyan wiped her tears and said seriously, in order to not cause any backlash to them from tomorrow onwards, I will supervise you to get up early. Ah. Yan Shaoling's mouth opened into an O shape. She was dumbfounded. After the joyous celebration, the staff began to clean up the arena and rearrange the mats. In the process there were singers and dancers. After waiting for 20 minutes, everything was ready. The president of the National University Martial Arts Federation, Mr. Fang Jinyu, stepped into the arena with several guests. He first awarded the silver medal to the depressed Shanbei University students. Next, let's welcome the champion of this year's National University Martial Arts Competition, Songqing University Martial Arts Club. The host invited loudly. Woo woo woo. Wave after wave of trumpet sounds, led by Geezer Shi, Lu Qing, and the others walked up one by one. They saw the gold medals being held by the hostess and the fighter's flying trophy being placed on the table in front of them. All of a sudden, Lu Qing's emotions surged again. He turned his head to look at Yan Zhika beside him with tears in his eyes. Her eyes were misty and drops of crystal tears slowly slid down her white cheeks. She was so beautiful. Didn't you say you never cry? Lu Qing tried to calm down and joked with xianxia. Xianxia sniffled and glared at him. She answered with a little sob, I said I never cry when I'm sad or sad. Now I'm so happy and moved. At this time, Li Mao and Kai Zongming helped Lin Ke out of the emergency room. He strongly requested to participate in the award ceremony after his injury was stabilized. Lu Qing squeezed a step to Xianxia's side, leaving the seat on the right side for his brother-in-law. Before they could say anything, Fang Jinyu approached them and gave them the gold medals one by one. How much wine can this thing exchange for? Geezer sure murmured. Fang Jinyu, who pretended not to know him, almost sprained his waist. After coughing twice, Fang Jinyu hung the gold medal around Lin Ke's neck and praised him with a smile. You have perseverance, courage, and action. That's all a martial artist can do. Lin Ke nodded slightly in response. He looked as calm as usual, but his eyes were not calm at all. Young talent, worthy of the title of Heavenly Son. Fang Jinyu moved closer to him and praised him. She then put the gold medal on him. I've just started, Lu Qing replied, half self-deprecating and half humorously. After the medals were handed out, Fang Jinyu picked up the Feitian Cup, which symbolized the highest honor, and was about to hand it to Coach Shi Jianghu. Geezer Shi waved his hand and pointed at Lu Qing. Give it to the brat. Give it to Lin Ke, Lu Qing interrupted. Fang Jinyu didn't ask why. She solemnly handed the Feitian Cup to Lin Quebec. Lin Ke took it with both hands. Feeling the heavy weight, his vision suddenly blurred. He didn't recall the past. Instead, he suddenly raised the trophy high. The trophy for the champion of the National University Martial Arts Competition. Champion! The audience shouted, and so did Lu Qing and the rest. Bang! 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 The gun salute exploded. Countless white and black fragments fell down, forming a glorious background for Lin Ke, Lu Qing, Xianxia, and the rest. Champion! Chapter 412. Champion! In the beautifully decorated barbecue bar, Lu Qing and the others raised their glasses and toasted each other. Once again they celebrated the national championship, which was not easy to win. After the award ceremony, they first accepted an interview and took a group photo. Then they each carried the trophy around the field and returned to the locker room under the enthusiastic cheers of the audience. After showering, they got on the bus and returned to the hotel to put down their belongings. Then they gathered again and came here for a team celebration. Of course, Lin Ke was an exception. Seeing that everyone was so happy, Geezer Shi relaxed the rules and allowed them to drink to liven things up. Those who wanted to drink could drink, and those who didn't, he didn't force them. The only requirement was that they couldn't get drunk. Lu Qing and Xianxia had their own principles, so they didn't make an exception. They held soda water and sour plum soup to their senior brothers and sisters. After another round of toasting, Sun Jian, who drank until his face was full of alcohol, picked up the beer bottle and poured a full glass. Then he pulled Lin Hua up, looked at the crowd and said humorously, I'm just a salted fish who only knows how to shout 666. Let me toast to you all. Lu Qing, Kai Zongming and the others burst into laughter and said, You can toast to us all. Why do you need senior sister Lin to toast to us? Sun Jian smiled, then sighed and said, That's right. When we go back to Songqing, Hua and I probably won't come to the martial arts club again. Let's take this opportunity to say goodbye to you all. He and Lin Hua were going to work in Huahai, so some things had to be finalized in advance. The thesis defense also had to be put on the agenda. There were too many things to be done. Lu Qing and the others had long known and foreseen this, so they were mentally prepared. However, when they heard it from Sun Jian, they still felt sad. They had been together for almost 2 years, sweating and suffering together every day during the special training. How could there be no friendship? However, all good things must come to an end. Before Kai Zongming and the others could say anything, Sun Jian said emotionally, Although I wasn't like Hua and didn't get a chance to compete in the nationals this time, I still have a deep impression of them. I don't think I'm not a part of this team. Speaking of this, he laughed. When I first joined the martial arts club, I only wanted to practice martial arts and fight in competitions to vent my pent-up emotions. I didn't even think about the regional or national competitions. When I met senior brother Chen and the others, forget it, I won't say anything bad about them. In short, during those 2 years, I didn't feel like a member of the martial arts club. When I was free, I used the venue and strength training room. When I was not free, I ignored everyone. Over the past 2 years, I've been training, and working hard with everyone for the national competition. I truly feel that I'm a member of the martial arts club. I feel sad when I lose, but I feel happy when I win. In my father's words, I feel a sense of collective honor. Lu Qing and Xianxia listened to him quietly. At the end of his speech, Sun Jian gulped down the beer in his glass and said emotionally, "I'm sorry but I don't know what to say. This toast is from the 10,000-year substitute Sun Jian to everyone." Lu Qing and the others picked up their glasses, drank the contents in one gulp and answered in unison, "To senior brother's son." Sun Jian filled a small glass of white wine for himself, held Lin Hua's hand and said, "I once read a book. It said that most of a person's life is ordinary and there is nothing to write home about. It is a cycle that goes on day after day. Only occasionally can one jump out and find the light, leaving a different color in one's life. My future may be as ordinary as this, but I can proudly say that when I was at the peak of my life, Hua, all of you and I fought for our dreams together. We tasted the pain of failure and the joy of success together. We created miracles together. Burning the youth and leaving traces. That's great, that's great." He and Lin Hua raised their glasses together and said in a happy and sad voice, "Remember to contact us when you come to Huahai in the future. Goodbye. We really have to see each other again." As he spoke, he actually cried and drank up the liquid in his glass. Lin Hua held back his tears, raised his head and drank his own glass. Li Xiaowen and the others had tears in their eyes and raised their glasses, saying that they would definitely see each other again. Lu Qing and Xianxia also had tears in their eyes and mixed feelings. They also clinked their glasses and drank up. Laughing and crying, happy and sad, excited and sad, Songqing University Martial Arts Club celebration came to an end. Sun Jian violated Gizershir's ban and drank until he was dead drunk. He kept repeating, "Goodbye, we have to see each other again." However, no one blamed him or scolded him. Standing outside the restaurant, the night wind blew. Everyone felt cool and refreshed. "Burp, I won't go back to the hotel with you. I have to walk the road with my fangyuan." Kai Zhongming, who had always been a good drinker, pointed at the girl on the other side of the road and said, "Go ahead. Let's see how you'll play in the next 2 days." Lu Qing joked. At that time he would be a foreign dog again. After watching little Ming's back safely cross the crosswalk, Gizershir coughed and said, "I've been so busy with the nationals that I haven't seen many of my old friends in the capital. You guys can go back by yourselves. I still have something to do." "Yes, master." Lu Qing, Xianxia and the others waved their hands. After Shi Jiangwo left, Li Xiaowen and He Zi became more active. They smiled at Lu Qing, Xianxia, Sun Jian and Lin Hua saying, "We're going shopping and drinking. We won't disturb you guys." "Take care of yourself," Lu Qing reminded. "Don't worry, we have bodyguards." Li Xiaowen smiled and pointed at Li Mao. Laughing and joking, they crossed the street and left. At this time Lin Hua stopped a taxi and pointed at Sun Jian. He said to Lu Qing and Xianxia, "He's so drunk that I have to send him back first. Do you want to come with me? The hotel is not far. We're going to walk back." Lu Qing smiled and helped Lin Hua put Sun Jian into the car. "Bye-bye." Lin Hua sat in the car and waved to them through the window. "Bye-bye." Lu Qing and Xianxia responded with a smile. The car started and drove away. They suddenly found that they were alone in the cool night wind. The previous bustle and noise had returned to silence. After a short period of adaptation, Lu Qing smiled and covered his chest with his left hand. He bowed like a gentleman and said, "Beautiful lady, no, beautiful fairy, may I invite you to take a walk with me?" His right arm was wrapped in layers of bandages and splinted, so he could only wave it forward clumsily. According to the doctor, with his body's recovery ability, he wouldn't need to go through so much trouble in a few days. He would be as good as new in about 3 weeks. Of course, the premise was that he didn't get hurt again. Xianxia chuckled and said, "You disabled person, don't be so fond of acting." Although she said so, she still gave her right hand to Lu Qing and let him hold it. Bathed in the neon light, the two strolled leisurely on the street, enjoying the faint aftertaste of joy. "Hey, when senior brother Sun Jian and senior sister Lin Hua just said goodbye, I was a little sad." Xianxia suddenly sighed while chatting. Lu Qing felt the same way. He nodded and joked, "Kochian, I remember you once taught me that there are 2 kinds of friends. The first kind is those who only know each other for a short time and will eventually drift apart. There's no need to be sad about it." Xianxia put on an evil smile and rolled her eyes at him, while gnashing her teeth. "I know that. But emotions can't be gone just like that." Lu Qing was glanced at by her lively eyes and suddenly felt some ripples in his heart. After looking around, he pointed to a quiet alley with his chin and said, "Let's go there." Xianxia blinked with a blank face. "We can take a shortcut there." Lu Qing answered without changing his expression and pulled the girl to go there. Xianxia's face was full of confusion. Seeing that her boyfriend was so insistent, she no longer doubted him. Her steps became heavy and light. Every time she stepped on the floor tiles, she swayed and her skirt fluttered. Lu Qing looked at her greedily. When they walked a few steps into the alley, he suddenly pulled the girl into his arms. Xianxia looked up in confusion and was about to say something, but Lu Qing covered her mouth with his passionately and passionately. After a few moans, her body softened. She grabbed Lu Qing's clothes with both hands and took the initiative to stick out her tongue, letting her boyfriend suck her sweetness. Lu Qing kissed and hugged her tighter. He breathed in the girl's warm breath and felt the beauty of her delicate body. After a while they finally separated and panted slightly. Xianxia glared at Lu Qing with bright and watery eyes. She said with annoyance and amusement, Why are you so excited? We're going back to the hotel soon." Lu Qing laughed and said, "I thought about it. Your parents will definitely come to talk to you tonight. When we go back to the hotel we'll have to part for a while. So let's kiss first." "Oh, you've learned to answer first." Xianxia thought about it and found it reasonable. It's all because of Ko Qian's good teaching. Lu Qing lowered his head and pressed his forehead against his little fairy's forehead. He murmured his inner feelings that he didn't have time to say. So good. We're the champions. We're the champions with you. Such a posture and such words softened Xianxia's heart. She raised her head, opened her pink lips slightly, and looked at her boyfriend with sparkling eyes. She looked like she was waiting for a kiss. Lu Qing naturally did as she wished. The two of them were entangled and dilly-dallying. They walked for half an hour and finally saw the entrance of the hotel. When they saw Ji Mingyu and Yan Kai, a car stopped beside them. The car door opened. Lin Kai, who had changed into a t-shirt and casual pants, got out of the car with difficulty and stood in front of them. "Brother." Xianxia called out subconsciously. Lin Kai nodded slightly. He looked at them and said in a low voice, "I might not go back to Songqing University." "Ah." Lu Qing was stunned. Xianxia seemed to have expected it. Lu Qing knew that Lin Kai came to Songqing University to make up for his father's regret. He didn't like Peng Liyun, who really liked to study, nor did he like Renli, who didn't want to be an illiterate person. The usual courses and the final degree were almost meaningless to him. Once his wish was fulfilled, there would be nothing holding him back. However, Lu Qing didn't expect Lin Kai's farewell to come so quickly and so unexpectedly. Lin Kai still looked cold, but he was a little more talkative than before. He said calmly, "I've heard a song before and remembered the lyrics. It's called, 'The good days of youth and frivolity are over when you grow up.'" After pausing for a moment, he revealed an extremely faint smile. Using his usual indifferent tone, he said, "That's right. I've been frivolous. It's time for me to grow up." After saying that, he turned around, opened the car door and sat in again, leaving only a lonely figure for Lu Qing and Xianxia. The car drove away. Lin Kai didn't turn his head. He just raised his hand and waved casually. The car and him went further and further away until they were out of sight. The bustle was gone. It was deserted. Lu Qing closed his eyes. Lin Kai's words seemed to be echoing in his ears. "I've been frivolous. It's time for me to grow up." Chapter 413. Lu Qing and Xianxia were silent for a while. They walked side by side to the entrance of the hotel. "My brother must have been scolded by Grandpa for awakening his supernatural ability," Xianxia said faintly as they walked. Lu Qing sighed. "He did pay a lot. Anyway, he won the championship and his wish was fulfilled. There's no need to argue with your grandpa anymore." As someone who had fully experienced high school, he actually did not lack the experience of parting and sadness. However, at that time his mentality and worldview were far from mature enough. He was full of longing for the future and felt that meeting again was something that could happen often. His feelings for such things were more muddle-headed and not deep enough. But now, the more he understood, the more he knew, the more he cherished the days when everyone fought together, suffered together, and broke through together. He understood that there might not be a future for some people and some things once it was over. Therefore he couldn't help but feel sad. Luckily, Lin Kai was my brother-in-law. In the future he would also enter the pro scene, so they would see each other many times. It was just that it would be difficult for them to work together for the same goal like they had in the past 2 years. "Yeah, but it's still so sad." Xianxia pouted and looked wronged. Lu Qing was about to say something when he saw his father-in-law and mother-in-law coming out of the revolving door. He straightened his back and cleared his throat in a low voice. But he didn't let go of the girl's hand as if he was saying something. "Dat Mom?" Xianxia called twice, her cheeks turning red, but she didn't retract her right hand. "Uncle Yan, Auntie Ji." Lu Qing followed suit and didn't feel at a loss. Yan Kai looked at their clasped hands and nodded slightly in response to Lu Cheng's greeting. Okay. He opened and closed his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but didn't in the end. Ji Mingyu laughed and said, Lu, how's your injury? Are you okay? You did a good job in the competition tonight. You surprised everyone again. Andy, you flatter me. It's not a big deal. I'll be fine in a few weeks. Lu Cheng didn't show his eloquence or humor, but answered honestly. Good. Take care of yourself. Could sleep with me tonight. We can have a good chat. Let your father sleep on the sofa outside. Ji Mingyu looked at her daughter with a smile. Okay. Xianxia nodded slightly and turned to look at Lu Cheng. I'm going to my parents' place first. She paused, pursed her lips, tilted her head slightly and smiled. See you tomorrow, see you tomorrow. He waved to Yan Kai and Ji Mingyu and said, Uncle Auntie goodbye. See you tomorrow. Ji Mingyu chuckled and repeated her daughter's words. Yan Kai nodded elegantly. Watching the family of three leave, Lu Cheng sighed to himself. The atmosphere between his parents-in-law was indeed awkward and subtle. Even he, who had seen such a big scene before, was quite reserved. He wondered if someone as strong as Talker would still be able to act freely in front of his parents-in-law. While letting his mind wander, Lu Cheng returned to his room and turned on the lights. On the right was a big bed that he hadn't slept on for many days. On the left were items that were strewn everywhere. Lu Cheng suddenly felt like he had returned to a lonely home after a business trip for several months. The room was bright and full of loneliness and strangeness. This is the night after winning the championship? I'm the only one left? Lu Cheng sighed. Without changing his shoes, he walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Outside, the skyscrapers were towering, lights were everywhere, and the Milky Way was everywhere. It was both prosperous and lonely. After staring blankly for a while, Lu Cheng suddenly felt his phone vibrate. He quickly took it out and saw Xianxia's message. I'm chatting with my parents. They have a good impression of you. Xianxia smiled shyly. Lu Cheng's lips suddenly curled up. The sadness he felt just now disappeared without a trace. He replied with a smirk. So, we can get married now? You wish. The revolution hasn't succeeded yet. Comrade, you still need to work hard. Xianxia said. Lu Cheng couldn't help but laugh. He raised his hand to look at the love ring and then looked outside again. This time, he only felt that the lights in the night revealed a faint but lasting warmth, illuminating the way home for the late traveler. The next day, Lu Cheng, who had won the nationals, woke up early as usual. He didn't relax or slack off. His arm was injured, so it was difficult for him to practice many of his moves. He could only focus on internal training, footwork, and leg work. In the morning light, he turned and created wind, whistling as he wished. At 7:40 a.m., Lu Cheng finished his usual training and returned to the hotel. He washed his body with difficulty. At this time, he, who was completely free, suddenly had some thoughts. He felt that the experience of winning the nationals last night was still so unreal and so dreamy. If the gold medal wasn't right beside him, he probably wouldn't have believed it. It hasn't even been a day and I'm already thinking about it. Lu Cheng shook his head and laughed. Following the throbbing in his heart, he took the card, left the room, and prepared to take a taxi to the martial arts arena in the capital. Nothing happened along the way. The skyscrapers on both sides of the road were similar in every city. Lu Cheng was in a leisurely mood. He looked around with interest and occasionally chatted with Xianxia. Unknowingly, he arrived at his destination. He put on a pair of plain glasses, put his hands in his pockets, and strolled to the entrance of the martial arts arena. In the surrounding square, the crowd that had entered and left last night had long disappeared. Even the ground was clean, leaving no trace of the previous battle. Passing by several men and women who came to open the door, Lu Cheng's mood became extremely good. Even the outline of the tiles under his feet was pleasing to the eye. The entrance of the arena had been reopened. It was empty and sparsely populated. On both sides of the wall, there were posters of his confrontation with Peng Liyun. Smiling, Lu Cheng put his hands in his pockets and walked step by step to the arena. He found a place to sit down and softly looked at the place where the battle took place last night. He looked at the two children who were fighting with their fists and feet. Their moves were normal, but their bodies had yet to develop and their strength was insufficient. Their footsteps were light, and they did not have any substantial power. Moreover, they had learned from the movies and television shows. Every move they made required a shout, and the fight was lively and lively. Hey, be careful. Don't hurt yourself. Several parents kept reminding him by the side until he was driven to the stands by the coach. Noticing that Lu Cheng was looking at the arena with a smile, An extroverted parent laughed and said, "Children insist on learning martial arts. We have no choice but to accompany them while we are free." Lu Qing thought for a while and said with a smile, "Practicing martial arts is a good thing." As he said, he stood up and added, "Moderate training is good for development. If not, it will hinder development." The parents looked at each other in confusion. Lu Qing did not say anything. He put his hands in his pockets and walked to the door. When he was about to go out, he looked back and looked at the familiar yet strange arena. Vaguely, from the perspective of a bystander, he seemed to see Lin Kei lifting the trophy, himself shouting to the sky, and Xianxia running to the arena. The corners of his mouth curled up as he turned around and left the place. Outside the arena, Lu Qing took out his phone, took a picture of the entrance and sent it to Xianxia. "Ah, martial arts arena." Xianxia was surprised at first, and then she said angrily, "Why didn't you take me? Let's go together next time." Lu Qing said with a silly smile, "I just had a sudden impulse." Xianxia giggled with a hand over her mouth emoji. "My silly Qing actually has such a rough side." After that, she added, "Empress Dowager asked you to come for lunch. The address is—" Lu Qing's leisurely mood faded away. He asked, "Do you want to buy cigarettes, alcohol, and fruits? I think I should bring these things for my first visit." "No need." Xianxia said with a confused expression, "It's not a formal visit. We're just having lunch together. Besides, we're still students. But it's the first time I'm meeting your parents. I have to show my respect to them." Lu Qing said with an emoji touching his chin, "No one will blame you for being polite. I don't have experience. I'll ask Empress Dowager." Xianxia hesitated for a while and decided to ask for help. Lu Qing said with a smile, "Empress Dowager probably doesn't know. Your dad only visited you for the first time a few years after you were born. It's okay. The focus is on my parents. If they think it's okay, then it's okay." Xianxia paused for a while and said, "Empress Dowager said you don't need to bring anything. She wants you to relax and not be too cautious." "Okay. I'll come over shamelessly?" Lu Qing asked. Xianxia said with an emoji of rolling eyes, "Don't rush. Go back and change your clothes first. Wear that dark-colored shirt." And, looking at her nagging, Lu Qing suddenly laughed and said, "Ku, are you a little nervous? I'm just worried that you don't know what to do." Xianxia said with a roll of the eyes emoji. "Hee hee." Lu Qing didn't expose her and replied, "I'll listen to Ko Qian's instructions." Because she cared about herself and their future, Ku was nervous and uneasy. "Yeah, me too." Back at the hotel, he took out his clothes and put them on according to Xianxia's instructions. Then he called a taxi and was ready to go. When he got to the lobby, he saw Li Mao, Li Xiaowen, and the others who were happily going out to play. He could feel their happy mood. Waving goodbye, Lu Qing stood at the door and waited for the taxi. The sun was shining brightly. Chapter 4:14. The place for dinner was a courtyard without any sign. When Lu Qing walked to the door, Xianxia, in a white knee-length dress, was already waiting outside. Her beautiful black hair was blown by the wind through the alley, gently dancing in the wind. It was as beautiful as a picture scroll. Seeing her boyfriend, her eyes lit up. She stepped forward and helped Lu Qing to tidy up the collar and wrinkles of his shirt. She smiled and said, "Don't be nervous. Just eat and talk." "I wasn't nervous before. Now that you mention it, I feel a little nervous." Lu Qing deliberately made a joke. Xianxia's beautiful eyes sparkled. She glanced at him, took his uninjured hand and turned towards the yard. "Let's go." Passing through the mottled gate, the vines on the flower rack and the clear little pond, Lu Qing and Xianxia entered the row of houses on the east side, into the quiet and secluded warm pavilion, surrounded by the faint fragrance of flowers. A quaint square table was placed by the window. Outside, flowers were blooming, leaves were lush, and waves were gently swaying. Lu Qing didn't have time to look at the calligraphy and paintings hanging on the wall or the objects in the treasure pavilion. He cast his eyes on the square table and his father-in-law and mother-in-law. "Hello, uncle and auntie. Sit down." Ji Mingyu smiled and pointed to the seat opposite Yan Kai. "Okay." Lu Qing sat down with Xianxia. Just as the awkward and subtle atmosphere was brewing, Ji Mingyu said with a smile, "In terms of the local cuisine of the capital, this one ranks in the top 5 in my mind. And the environment is more suitable. I prefer Xiaoshan food now. You should be able to get used to it." "Actually, I'm not a picky eater. The ingredients are not exotic and the taste is not bad. I don't have a problem." Lu Qing responded with a smile. Ji Mingyu nodded. "It's not a big deal to use the best ingredients to make delicious food. but it's a real skill to use ordinary ingredients to make ordinary dishes that people can't stop praising. The combination of the two, the best ingredients and the real skill, makes delicious food. Like this one? Xianxia asked deliberately to liven up the atmosphere. With the domineering Empress Dowager taking the initiative to lead the conversation, the awkward atmosphere faded away. Lu Cheng felt more at ease and answered all the questions in a well-behaved manner. Yan Kai didn't talk to him much. He just echoed Ji Mingyu's words from time to time, or glanced at Xianxia who kept putting food into her semi-disabled boyfriend's bowl. His heart ached for his daughter's thoughtfulness. Who had really grown up. Dishes were put on the table and taken away one by one. Lu Cheng, who already had an inhuman appetite, was too embarrassed to show his true colors. He mainly chatted and ate as a supplement. Well, the dishes are really good, but the portion is not enough. Fortunately, the Empress Dowager ordered more than 10 portions. She is indeed a martial arts aristocratic family. She even paid attention to these details. He thought silently. At the end of the conversation, Yan Kai glanced at him, took a sip of tea, and took the initiative to ask for the first time. Lu, what are your plans for the future? Arrangements? Lu Cheng was stunned for a moment. Just as he was about to organize his words, Yan Kai added, your master has a close relationship with the military, so there must be some disputes in this regard. Do you want to take this path or play professional matches? Uncle Yan, I'm actually very afraid of death. Lu Cheng thought about it and said self-deprecatingly, if it's not necessary, I really don't want to risk my life. Playing professional matches suits me better. Yan Kai nodded slightly. Do you have any goals? To become a physical invulnerability expert? Yes, Lu Cheng answered honestly. First, all the martial artists I'm familiar with are all physical invulnerability experts. I hope to have the strength to challenge them and compete with them. Second, he paused and continued, second because Ku's grandparents are both physical invulnerability experts. Xianxia's eyes curved into a smile and she bit her lip. She wanted to say something coquettishly, but because her parents were present, she forced herself to hold it in. Yan Kai seemed to be reminded of the past. He was suddenly touched. After a moment of silence, he said, not bad. Work hard. Although I consider myself successful in my career and have good self-control, every time I meet my parents-in-law who are physical invulnerability experts, I still have mixed feelings. Besides, most of Mingyu's business depends on the Ji family and the two physical invulnerability experts. Yan Kai didn't say anything more. Ji Mingyu changed the topic and made the atmosphere more natural again. In the end, she smiled at Lu Cheng and said, Lu, are you going back to Songqing tomorrow morning? Yes, the flight is after 10. Lu Cheng answered honestly. Ji Mingyu turned to Xianxia. Could come with us today. When we reach the capital, we have to visit some elders. Okay. Xianxia agreed in a crisp voice. After saying goodbye, she walked Lu Cheng to the door of the courtyard. That's it? Lu Cheng looked back and asked blankly. This was completely different from what he imagined meeting his parents-in-law. That's right. What else do you want to do? Xianxia blinked her eyes and asked him in amusement. Shouldn't you ask me about the details? Like my surname, my name, where I'm from, where I'm going, how many people are in my family, how many acres of land each person has, how many cows are in the fields? Lu Cheng answered in a joking tone. According to other people's experience, such meetings were always followed by interrogation. Xianxia laughed. It's not like they don't have the means to find out your details. Even if they don't, they should ask me in private first. Who would ask you directly? That's so rude and embarrassing. Okay. Lu Cheng was relieved. Xianxia pursed her lips. Suddenly, she turned her head to the side and added, Empress Dowager is very, very satisfied with you now. She thinks you're talented and reliable. When it comes to being able to do what she says, she supports you. My dad can only accept it. Lu Cheng was delighted. He deliberately exaggerated. This is called the more a mother-in-law looks at her son-in-law, the more satisfied she is? In your dreams. Xianxia turned back and rolled her eyes at him, but her eyes were full of unconcealable joy. They chatted for a while before going back. Lu Cheng had nothing to do in the afternoon, so he relaxed. However, he didn't have a gathering with his high school classmates in the capital. He just chatted with them on QQ for half a day. At night, Chi Fang called him at around 10 o'clock as per her daily habit. She wanted to share with him how many congratulations she had received today. The next day Lu Cheng didn't relax. He still went to the nearby park to practice. When he was about to finish, he suddenly found his master standing beside him with a wine pot. Lin Ke was caught back to Shushan's study. He probably won't come back. What's your plan? Geezer sure raised his chin. Without waiting for Lu Cheng's reply, he continued, I've helped your principal win the championship and I've rested enough. You can barely finish your apprenticeship, so it's time to leave. Brat, do you want to enter the professional competition in advance, or what? Master is leaving too. Lu Cheng was in a trance, but the idea in his heart became clearer and firmer. He thought for a while and said, Master, I've improved to my current level in 1.5 years. I'm leaving too quickly. This national competition has exposed many problems. I want to settle down for a year, and enter the professional competition when I've reached the inhuman stage. Well, this may be better. Also, Lin K is gone. You're gone too. If I leave too, won't the martial arts club return to its previous state? Yes, it's stronger than before, but everyone hasn't had time to grow up. It's likely that they won't be able to enter the division next semester. This will be a big blow to them. Besides, the students of Songqing University have finally supported us again. They must be very disappointed and sad if we suddenly return to the starting point. I think I want to stay for another year and lead the others. I'll leave when they grow up and have new blood. By that time I'll be in my senior year and won't have many classes. Even if I leave early, I can still get a diploma. Geezer sure smiled, drank a mouthful of wine and said, I knew it. You little brat, just lift your butt a little. I know what shit you want to shit. Suddenly erupting with superpowers is something that Lin K can do, and you will definitely choose to stay for another year. However, when the time comes, this old man has some things for you to do. What things? Lu Qing asked in surprise. Things related to the 9 words formula and Emperor Yen Force. I'll pick some simple things for you to do by yourself. You'll gain something and also train yourself. We'll talk about it when the time comes, Geezer sure said seriously, which was rare for him. Because he didn't have the Emperor Yen Force that evolved from Zhu Rong Force, Lu Cheng's Frost Force didn't evolve into Ice Spirit Force in order to balance ice and fire. Okay. Lu Cheng suppressed his curiosity and didn't ask further. At this time, Geezer sure clicked his tongue and put his hands behind his back. Settle down well. Let's see how long it takes for you to reach the inhuman stage. After the training, the members of the martial arts club gathered and rushed to the airport to fly back to Songqing. Along the way, the others only knew that Lin K had returned to Shushan study to recuperate. They were very excited to return home in glory. Lu Cheng revealed to xianxia that his master was also leaving. Both of them were very sad. After getting off the plane, a school bus came to pick them up. Lu Cheng and the others returned to the new campus of Songqing University after a long absence. This time, the school bus stopped directly outside the martial arts arena so that they could put the Nationals champion trophy in the honor room first. On Monday, they would meet the principal to receive the commendation. After getting off the bus and walking to the entrance of the martial arts arena, Lu Cheng turned his head and complained to xianxia with a smile, Suddenly it feels a little strange. While talking, the two approached the entrance. Suddenly they were stunned. Because the inside was full of students. Students spontaneously filled the seats. There were thousands of them, both male and female. They were holding banners and shouting in unison in an organized manner, "We're here. We're the champions." The warm and surging atmosphere hit him in the face. Lu Cheng's heart suddenly settled down and unconsciously revealed a smile. "We're the champions." End of Part 2. Chapter 4:15. Ding. A message rang. Lu Cheng picked up his phone and found that the champion's prize money had been transferred to his account. Your savings account ending with XXXX received 250000 yuan electronically at 9:45 on April 30th. Current balance is 904,724.84 yuan. Since this National University Martial Arts competition had attracted a lot of attention, the broadcasting copyright fee and ticket income had also increased. Every team that made it to the next round could get at least 500,000 yuan, which could be used to cover the transportation fee, accommodation fee for more than half a month, bus rental fee and training ground rental fee. There was still some left over, which could be used to give some subsidies to the coaches and team members. If a team entered the top 8, they could get at least 800,000 yuan. The top 4 would get 1,100,000 yuan, the second place would get 1,400,000 yuan, and the champion would get 1,800,000 yuan. This time, Songqing University was even more generous than during the preliminaries. After deducting 380,000 yuan for various expenses, they only took 300,000 yuan for management fee. As the core members, Geezer Shi, Lu Cheng and Lin K each got 250,000 yuan. Xianxia, who had more fights and won the key victory in the capital, got 100,000 yuan. Li Mao, who fought until he was injured, got 80,000 yuan. Kai Zhongming, who fought alone, got 60,000 yuan. Lin Hua, who fought against the He brothers, got 40,000 yuan. Sun Jian, He Zi and Wang Dali, the 3 substitutes, got 15,000 yuan each. Li Xiaowen, who did daily chores, got 10,000 yuan. As for the rest, the team members who participated in the special training but didn't go to the capital got 3,000 yuan each. The rest went to the public account of the martial arts club to cover their daily expenses, such as computer maintenance, dinner parties. Unknowingly, I'm going to be a millionaire soon. Lu Qing took a screenshot and showed off his little bank account to Xianxia, feeling both happy and amused. He didn't think that he was rich, but as a college student he didn't need to buy a house for the time being. He didn't need to consider buying a car, so he didn't need to prepare for his wedding, honeymoon expenses, funds to feed his children and future retirement savings. What's more, he could go to the ice god sex business and get some elixirs and ingredients every month. He spent most of his time on campus and only went out for a date once every 1 or 2 weeks. No matter how much he ate, as long as he didn't chase after the best ingredients, he wouldn't consume too much. Adding all of these together, even including the extra elixirs for the swordsman formula, he had used less than 100,000 elixirs since the middle of February. In the past, Lu Qing would have been under a lot of pressure to make money. However, with Wu Ting's father's endorsement contract of 700,000 yuan and the prize of the national competition champion of 250,000 yuan, it was inevitable that he would feel that no matter how much money he spent, he wouldn't be able to spend it. Looks like I'm still too naive. He silently gave himself a thumbs up. Xianxia replied quickly. My bonus has arrived. Including mine, you're a millionaire. Shouldn't we say that our family happens to be millionaires? Lu Qing proudly pushed up his sunglasses and casually said, I've finished packing. Now I'm here to look for you? They had already made plans for a trip on the 1st of May. Thinking that they didn't have classes for the first half of the month and had to rely on self-study, they decided to leave early and return late. Not only could they avoid the traffic rush hour, but they could also almost double their holiday. What a wonderful thing. Xianxia replied with a blank expression, Wait for a while. I'll put something on and do it a little. Are you going to put on makeup? What a serious treatment. I'm a little flattered. Lu Qing replied with a raised eyebrow expression. Didn't you say that I pay special attention to girls and that I'm not serious about dating you? Humph, I'll fulfill your wish. Xianxia sent an emoji of looking up at the sky. I'm looking forward to it. Lu Qing began to imagine. Putting down his phone, he looked around in his free state. He happened to see model worker Zhang Jingye carrying his luggage and walking to the door, passing by him. Going on a trip with your girlfriend? Lu Qing asked with a smile. Yeah, you too? The northwestern man Zhang Jingye glanced at the big backpack on the table. Yeah. You're not going to class in the afternoon? Lu Qing teased. Zhang Jingye looked at him from the corner of his eyes and laughed. I think you're not going either. Yeah, what a coincidence. Lu Qing replied exaggeratedly. What a coincidence. Zhang Jingye replied with a smile and walked out of the door of the small dormitory. At this time, the head of the dormitory, Zhao Chong, took out a few books and stuffed them into his bag. He joked, I'm envious of you guys who have girlfriends. I can only focus on class. Hey Chong, didn't you say that you wanted to make a move on an old classmate? Lu Qing asked curiously. During the winter vacation, Zhao Chong reconnected with a high school classmate who was also studying in Songqing. In the past few months they had been chatting passionately. In the dormitory, he announced that he would seize the opportunity to make a move on her and get rid of the label of being single. Zhao Chong coughed twice and said with a blush, I'm just thinking about it. Classmate, you can't just think about it when it comes to chasing a girl. You have to put it into action. Don't be afraid of failure. Lu Qing first reminded him seriously and then snickered, You'll get used to it if you fail too many times. Anyway, there's the Casanova next door. It's not wrong to ask for more advice. Zhao Chong suddenly sighed, If I were half as capable as you, I would have made a move on her with full confidence. Since you said so, what else can I do? I can only reluctantly be proud of it. Lu Qing smiled and spread out his hands, but then again when I mustered up the courage to chase my coup, I didn't have much ability. I just used Piao Rou and that's how confident I was. He jokingly ran his fingers through his hair. Of course, to be honest, the substantial breakthrough in his relationship with Ku was because he had put her in his shoes during the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. He had gone through a period of high-spirited and miraculous journey with her. He had also shown the qualities and potential that made the girl feel reliable. Mustering up the courage to chase was a necessary condition, but not a sufficient one. After all, There was no rule in the world that if you were to chase a girl she would have to accept it. You're right. Zhao Chang seemed to have just thought of this point. He seriously pondered and said, forget it. An elder used his own life experience to teach us that we should study more while we are young and grasp more knowledge in all aspects. We shouldn't waste our time on love. Lu Qing was speechless and watched Zhao Chang carry his bag and leave the dormitory. After playing with his phone for a while he finally received a message from Xianxia. The girl said, you can go out in 5 minutes. Okay. Lu Qing quickly replied and carefully put his right arm through the strap of the backpack to carry his luggage. I'd better wait at the door of Ku's dormitory for these 5 minutes. When he was about to step out, old Qiu Zhigao ran back with sweat all over his face and shouted, damn, I'm late, I'm late. He looked up and saw Lu Qing. He smiled and asked with expectation, Qing, do you think it's possible for me to reach the amateur third pin before my senior year? After almost 4 semesters of hard work, he sadly found that he was not cut out for studying. Although he had never failed a course, he was not in the top 20% of the class. He had not even won the lowest scholarship. No matter how hard he tried, he could not catch up. So he began to think about the problem realistically. He planned to pick up martial arts and get a certificate of amateur third pin, which would increase his chances of finding a job in his senior year. With your physique and strength, as long as you can hold more than 3 times a week, there's a good chance. Lu Qing answered pertinently. Qiu Zhigao suddenly beamed with joy. In his mind, Lu Qing was already a grandmaster in the martial arts circle of the university. If he said he had no problem, then there was no problem. Okay, if you have time, please give me some advice. Feel free to tell me if you need anything. Old Qiu was in a hurry to go to class. He hurriedly packed his bag and ran into the dormitory bathroom to take a cold shower. Phew, everyone's college development is different. Lu Qing sighed and left the small dormitory with his bag. When he passed by the next door, he glanced at him casually and was suddenly stunned. Student Xiaoming was immersed in his studies. Occasionally he would write furiously and draft a manuscript. Holy sh*t, what kind of blow did you get? Lu Qing was shocked and blurted out. Kai Zongming looked up and said grumpily, what's wrong with studying hard? I haven't been in class for almost a month. I have to make up for it. As he spoke, he revealed a self-deprecating smile. I didn't say it. My Fang Yuan said it. Then why don't you go to the classroom to study by yourself? Lu Qing suddenly realized and asked subconsciously. Is there a problem with studying by myself in the dormitory? Little Ming asked in confusion. Aren't you afraid that you can't resist the temptation of computer games? Lu Qing laughed. Since mobile games became popular, I can play in the classroom if I want to. I don't care about appearances. Kai Zongming answered righteously. Lu Qing clicked his tongue and said, but the atmosphere in the classroom is different. Everyone is studying. You will be embarrassed to play mobile games by yourself. So you will control yourself. Kai Zongming snorted and said with a look of disdain, Qing, do you think I'm the kind of person who will be influenced by others and be affected by the atmosphere and then stop playing games and studying seriously? No. Lu Qing gave him a thumbs up, turned around and rushed to the door. After waiting for a few minutes outside the third dormitory, Lu Qing saw his girlfriend walking out gracefully with a new suitcase. Her bangs were elegant, her facial features were delicate, her dress was elegant, and her legs were straight. She was like a painting. Ku is so beautiful after dressing up. Lu Qing didn't hide his loving and burning eyes. Xianxia raised her chin slightly and looked away proudly. Let me do it. Lu Qing reached out to take her suitcase. No need. I'll take it myself, you handicapped person. Xianxia glanced at him. Lu Qing laughed and said, handicapped? What the hell is handicapped? Hee hee. Xianxia smiled and then turned to him. You have to hold my hand when you have time. Lu Qing smiled and said, it's okay. I'm not wearing a splint. It's not a problem to hold a fairy's hand. Xianxia was about to say something when her phone rang. It was a call. My grandpa. She glanced at it and said to Lu Qing in confusion. Then she chose to pick it up. Hello, Grandpa? Hello, Ku. Ji Jinzhang's slightly old voice laughed. Bring Lu here on the 1st of May. Let me and your grandma see him. Chapter 416. Ah. Xianxia was a little confused at her grandpa's order. She looked at Lu Qing and didn't reply directly. What the hell is going on? Why is Grandpa suddenly asking me to take Qing to Jiangnan? Why didn't he say so earlier? Lu Qing's senses were very strong now. He had already heard everything in front of him. While thinking, he nodded to his girlfriend with a smile, indicating that he was fine with it. Although he was disappointed that he couldn't travel with Ku alone, Getting the approval of her elders would give her a strong sense of security. Anyway, there will be similar opportunities in the future. After asking for her boyfriend's opinion, Xianxia came back to her senses. She puffed up her cheeks and said, "Grandpa, why didn't you say so earlier? Cheng and I have other plans." Okay, we'll come over. We'll change it right away." Ji Jianzhang smiled and said, "I thought you would take the initiative to bring him to see me. But after waiting day after day there was still no news. So I had to be thick-skinned and invite him myself." Xianxia blushed and smiled embarrassedly. "I was thinking of waiting for the summer vacation." She was afraid that her silly Cheng would be bullied, so she planned to wait until Lu Qing reached the inhuman stage before bringing him to the Ji family. "Let's do it today. Send me Lu's identity information. I'll ask someone to arrange the itinerary for you." Ji Jianzhang chuckled. After the call, Xianxia glanced at Lu Qing and said coquettishly, "Grandpa, you're too much. We've already booked the plane tickets and hotel before you tell us." "It's okay. Traveling anywhere is still traveling." Lu Qing smiled comfortingly. "But my strategy won't be of any use. Ko Qian will have to rely on you to lead the way." "Don't worry, I won't lose you." Xianxia smiled and was touched by her boyfriend's understanding. Then she deliberately livened up the atmosphere. "I'm so angry. I can't get a full refund. It's all Grandpa's fault. I'll ask him to give you a big red packet." "Red packet?" Lu Qing asked blankly. "It's a tradition in Jiangnan. Men and women who have confirmed their relationship cough." Xianxia's cheeks were slightly red. She turned her head and said, "When you visit for the first time, the elders will give you a red packet." "It's a red packet from my grandson-in-law," Lu Qing concluded with a smile. To be honest, he was not nervous about meeting Xianxia's grandpa and grandma. In the eyes of the young people of his generation, the father-in-law and mother-in-law were directly related to the girlfriend. Naturally, they would pay more attention to it and feel more nervous. Grandpa and grandma didn't seem to have a big impact on them after a generation. As for the fact that he was a physical invulnerability expert, it wasn't like he hadn't seen one before. He didn't have a physical invulnerability expert backing him up. While they were chatting and laughing, Xianxia sent Lu Cheng's personal information to her grandpa and waited for him to coordinate. The Songqing University students around them had already cast their gazes on them and sent silent greetings. Some of them even plucked up the courage to ask for autographs. Since winning the national championship, Lu Qing had been in the state of everyone in Songqing University. He had become the idol of many seniors, juniors, and classmates of the same year. Wherever he went, he would attract attention and feel goodwill. Just as he was considering the fact that the sun was getting brighter and the number of onlookers was increasing, he had to drag Ku to a cafe or other places to avoid the heat. Soon a phone call came to her. He told her about several first-class cabins and asked her to choose. If she was still not satisfied, she could use Shushan Study's private jet and apply for a flight route. "Let's take the 12:30 flight." Xianxia didn't want to bother others and quickly made a decision. Then they took the school bus out of Songqing University and arrived at the airport according to the original plan. However, the flight had changed, and the destination on the ticket was changed from the neighboring province to Jiangnan province. There was no delay and no delay. The flight took off on time. Lu Qing drank the mineral water that was cooled by itself and casually chatted with his girlfriend. "Ko, I'm thinking about a problem." "What?" Xianxia turned her head and looked at her boyfriend with clear and beautiful eyes. And I'm saying if your parents and your grandparents are not satisfied with me and don't want you to marry me, what will you do?" Lu Qing asked with a smile. It was because Empress Dowager was satisfied with him and his father-in-law didn't object that he dared to ask this question. It was just a way for couples to communicate. Xianxia rolled her eyes and bit her lower lip with her white teeth. Her dimples appeared. "Of course I'll listen to them." "Ah." Lu Qing was stunned. "Ko, that's not the right answer." Seeing his reaction, Xianxia covered her mouth and chuckled, like spring water flowing out of a spring. In the end she said, "You're such a good liar." After joking, she pursed her lips and said while thinking, "I'm the one getting married, not them. My opinion is the most important. If they don't object, I'm happy. If they object, I'll do what I want. As long as I have the ability to support myself and live a good life, other people's opinions are just decorations. I don't think the blessings of relatives are important. Empress Dowager didn't give me any blessings, but she still lived happily. I find that you are deeply influenced by Empress Dowager." Lu Qing was delighted by her answer. "You have a gem in front of you." Xianxia smiled and then asked, "What about you? If your parents don't like me, what will you do?" *CK asking about this kind of thing always brings me back to myself. Lu Qing criticized himself in his mind. First he complimented, "My Ku is so cute, so pretty, so kind and so sensible. My parents will definitely like you." He paused for a moment and said in a serious tone, "My thoughts are about the same as yours. Yes, it's all thanks to Ko Qian's good influence. Also maybe it's because I've grown up. I have the strength and confidence to not rely on my parents, and I can live a good life on my own. Therefore their opinions are only for reference. I will be filial to them, but that doesn't mean that I have to listen to everything they say. Actually, in my family now, I'm pretty much the one who makes the decisions for me." This was a natural evolution of family status. As long as one's character was not weak, not stupidly filial, and was able to make a decision, after one's career had reached a certain level, one would almost always make decisions for his parents instead of them. Xianxia listened to Lu Qing quietly, her eyes sparkling. But in the end she burst out laughing. "Qing, haha, I just thought of a saying. Haha, when you have a wife you forget your mother." "Hey, be serious." Lu Qing spread his hands helplessly. When couples were together, as long as they were serious about getting married and spending the rest of their lives together, they would inevitably fantasize about the future and discuss every aspect of their marriage life. Unknowingly, the plane began to descend and landed steadily on the tarmac. After taxiing for a while, Lu Qing and Xianxia exited the cabin and walked towards the arrival hall. On the way the girl received a call and turned to Lu Qing. "Qing, let's go straight to the parking lot later. Brother Lingqian is coming to pick me up." The previous generation of the Ji family had the word Ming, while the current generation had the word Ling. Ji Lingqian was not from Ji Jinzhang's branch, but belonged to his younger brother's branch. He was a martial artist at 28 years old and had been in the inhuman stage for 2 years. He was a fifth pin professional and was the vice president of the Ji family's security company. He had a good relationship with this side. Xianxia's first uncle's daughter was her closest cousin Ji Lingxi. Her second uncle's 2 children were her cousin, Ji Lingfeng and Ji Lingyun. "Brother Lingqian is coming personally. Haha, every time you mention him, I'm reminded of my pocket change." Lu Qing joked, dragging his suitcase with his left hand and letting the girl hold his right hand. Xianxia pursed her lips and laughed softly. "Me too. I always laugh when I call him that. You should call him Brother Lingqian too. When you see my grandparents you should call them Grandpa Ji and Grandma Do or Senior Ji and Senior Do." She seriously reminded him about how to address him. It didn't take long for them to find the location Ji Lingqian had mentioned. They saw a dark blue SUV. Ji Lingqian was tall and thin with handsome features and a calm temperament. He was casually dressed in a dark casual shirt and pants. When he saw Lu Qing and Xianxia walking over hand in hand, he shook his head and smiled. "Lu Qing, isn't your arm injured? Don't spoil my sister." "Brother Lingqian, what are you talking about? He insisted on holding my hand and didn't allow me to carry my own luggage." Xianxia pouted. "Brother Lingqian." Lu Qing followed suit. He smiled and moved his right arm. "It's already healed." Ji Lingqian sighed. "Seeing you like this reminds me of my first love. Hey, get in the car. We'll talk in the car." The car door opened. The interior was spacious. There were curtains and partitions blocking the driver's seat so that the driver couldn't see the situation behind. The 2 rows of seats were arranged so that they faced each other. There was a bar counter and a small refrigerator around them. After putting down their luggage, Lu Qing didn't look around the car. He sat down with Xianxia. Ji Lingqian plopped down on the seat opposite them. "What do you want to drink?" He smiled and pointed at the bar counter. "I'm not drinking. I drank a lot on the plane." Xianxia turned to Lu Qing. "How about you?" "I'm not drinking either." Lu Qing shook his head. As they spoke, the car door closed. The car moved forward steadily and made silent turns. Ji Lingqian crossed his arms in front of him and laughed. "Lu Qing, I'll call you Little Lu, otherwise we'll be too distant. I've watched your key matches in the university tournament. Not bad. Could you have a good eye? You're much better than I was when I was young. No wonder second grandpa invited you here." Speaking of this, he looked at Xianxia and said, "Second grandpa did this in a hurry. Everyone was away for the holidays. I went to the south to do a security mission. I was so tired that I was resting at home. But I was asked to do this. I thought grandpa had it all arranged." "That's good." Xianxia was puzzled at first, but then she sighed in relief. This way Qing only needed to see grandpa and grandma. It would be easier and less awkward. Her boyfriend would feel bad for her. What's good about it? Lingxi and Lingfeng said they wanted to come back and meet the heavenly son of the era. Ji Lingqian snorted. Regardless of whether Ji Lingqian was being sincere or not, Lu Qing felt an inexplicable sense of vanity when he heard his words. He was secretly pleased. Along the way, Xianxia and Ji Lingqian were the only ones chatting. Lu Qing interjected from time to time, so he wasn't too reserved. When the car arrived at the Ji family's old house and entered the courtyard, Lu Qing's breath caught his attention. Through the dark glass, he saw a thin old man with graying sideburns standing beside a flower stand. "Grandpa!" Xianxia jumped out of the car and shouted. Lu Qing followed and greeted him respectfully. "Senior Ji." This was the famous heaven-leaning sword. His aura was as deep as the sea. Ji Jianzhang smiled and nodded. He said to Xianxia, "Ku, go in and meet your grandma." At this point he turned to look at Lu Qing. "Little Lu, accompany me for a walk." Chapter 417. The scenery on both sides receded as the car sped along. Lu Qing was a little scared and couldn't help but advise her, "Ku, you don't have to drive so fast." Xianxia glanced at him out of the corner of her eyes. She let go of the accelerator and slowed down. Blushing, she said with an embarrassed smile, "I saw others overtaking me and driving so fast, so I thought that it's okay to drive faster. Aren't they all the same?" Lu Qing was dumbfounded as he listened. He carefully observed his surroundings, using his eyes to measure the details of his surroundings. "What are you thinking about?" Xianxia's right foot in white casual shoes unconsciously stepped on the accelerator again. Lu Qing answered with a complicated expression, "I'm thinking about how to accelerate if something goes wrong, how to step on the brake, and how to resist the collision from the opposite side." Xianxia slowed down the accelerator again and didn't know what to say for a while. When they stopped at the traffic light, she asked with both annoyance and amusement, "Am I really that bad? I think everything went well except for the ignition at the beginning." "It's not about bad. Ku, you're not in the right state of mind. You can't always think about overtaking others and driving so fast. You have to control yourself. How can you not wet your shoes if you always walk on the roadside?" Lu Qing was afraid that Ku would have an accident when he was not with her, so he reminded her seriously, which was rare. Xianxia pouted, "Okay, I'll try my best." The green light flashed and the car started again. This time she listened to Lu Qing's advice and drove very steadily. Sometimes she wanted to overtake or speed up, but she realized it in time and controlled herself. "Where are we going for a drive?" Lu Qing was in the mood to look at the scenery outside the car. He saw tall buildings and a river of lights. Xianxia smiled and said in a light tone, "I'll take you to see the night market in Linning first, and then we'll go to the river to get some fresh air." The capital of Jiangnan province was called Linning. "Night market? What's it like?" Lu Qing thought of the flea market in Xiaoshan. You'll know when we get there." Xianxia kept him guessing with a smile on her face. The car turned left and right and arrived at a busy street half an hour later. At first glance, the street was as bright as day. Simple shops were lined up in 3 rows and meandered into the distance. Crowds of people and voices filled the air. With the help of the reversing radar and video, Xianxia parked the car with a sense of accomplishment. She held Lu Qing's hand and walked into the night market. There were all kinds of cheap items for sale here, such as clothes and cell phone cases, as well as fragrant delicacies. Lu Qing stretched out his left hand and put it on the girl's other shoulder. He pulled her to his side, separating her from the pedestrians who were rubbing shoulders. As they walked and stopped, Xianxia fully enjoyed the pleasure of bargaining. Although she was not interested in those things, she just wanted to experience life. She criticized Lu Qing seriously, saying that he had never learned how to bargain. Every time he talked, it would be, "How much is it? 150? Can you make it cheaper? No, okay, give it to me," and so on. He never deviated from the basic principle. They started their business here. Now it's a national chain. But other than this place, they don't taste good. Their family started their business here, and now it's a national chain restaurant. But other than here, the other restaurants don't taste good. I think their other stores are good. Lu Qing asked with interest. I think their other stores are okay. Lu Qing asked with interest. That's because you haven't eaten anything good. While they were talking, the chicken was ready and put into a bag. They held hands and ate as they walked. They both thought it was like a student couple on a date. While they were talking, the chicken chops were ready and put into a bag. The two of them each took a piece, held hands and ate as they walked. Both of them felt that this was like a student couple dating. It's true. It's much better than the ones in Songqing. Lu Qing chewed on the tender chicken chop and expressed his admiration in surprise. He swallowed half of it in 2 or 3 bites. Xianxia lifted her chin slightly and smiled smugly. I told you, but you didn't believe me. She took out her phone and let Lu Qing lean his head and body to her. They held the chicken and took a selfie. She took out her phone and asked Lu Qing to take a selfie with the chicken. She didn't like to take pictures. She didn't know when it started, but she, who didn't like taking pictures, started to like using this method to record the interesting things they experienced together. Snap. Xianxia pursed her lips and tilted her head, trying to portray a beautiful image. Lu Qing, on the other hand, didn't care. He laughed and said, "Ku, you haven't eaten much at roadside stalls before, right? Where did you get this place?" "My cousin, Sister Lingxi brought me here once." Xianxia answered with a sweet smile. Sister Lingxi is indeed an experienced player. Lu Qing nodded in understanding. Ji Lingxi was the eldest daughter of the Ji family. She was 4 years older than Ku. She was born with great strength but didn't like martial arts. She wanted to study and be a manager. She was a professional 9th pin fighter in her first year and was still a professional 9th pin fighter in her 4th year. 2 years after graduation, she reached the threshold of the dance stage. She was a very playful person. She skateboarded, surfed, rappelling, sang, danced, traveled, took a cruise to the sea, collected bags, and so on. In addition, she was also interested in experiencing the different specialties of different places, exploring roadside delicacies and interesting shops. She was the kind of person who could go to banquets and food stalls. They talked and laughed. They ate from the chicken chop shop to the end of the night market. They ate from one stall after another, all of which were certified by the gourmet Ji Lingxi. After a round, they returned to the car from the outside of the night market. Xianxia led Lu Qing to the riverside to take a walk in the cool night wind. The Ning River was wide and refreshing. The water blew on their faces, moistening their skin and soul. The girl held Lu Qing's hand and walked beside the guardrail. She giggled and swayed as if she was still a little girl. "It's late. We have to go back." She looked at her watch. "We can stay out all night." Lu Qing instigated with a half-truth and half-lie. Xianxia rolled her eyes at him and mimicked his tone. "Then you will be hunted down by my grandpa and grandma for 8 streets. Shivering? Lu Qing joked. It was his first day here and he had already abducted someone's granddaughter and stayed out all night. Was he asking for a beating or a beating? They opened the door and got into the car. Xianxia had just sat down. Before she could fasten the seat belt or start the car, she felt her body tilted and fell into Cheng's arms. "You." Just as she raised her head, she saw Lu Cheng's scorching black eyes. Having shared a bed and pillow intimately during the national competition, Lu Cheng had long been itching to make a move. Due to Yan Kai and Ji Mingyu's interference and other reasons, they hadn't been intimate for the past week. It was easy to go from frugality to extravagance, but difficult to go from extravagance to frugality. Xianxia closed her eyes, straightened her fair and slender neck like that of a swan, and gave in. Her legs were curled up on her side, and she was in the same position as her boyfriend. They were squeezed very closely together. Lu Cheng had observed the surroundings and knew that there was no one here. He kissed her passionately and let his hands move. He started from her shoulders, back and legs and gradually went deeper. "Could this seat, can it be reclined?" Lu Cheng asked anxiously as he kissed the girl's ear. "I can't do it like this. I don't know. You can search." Xianxia answered in a soft and confused voice. She didn't even know what she was talking about. Search at this time? Lu Cheng didn't want to be distracted. He wanted to use force concentration to lean against her and knock down the seat. At this moment, a sharp ringing sound rang out, echoing continuously. Xianxia pushed Lu Cheng away and glared at him with embarrassment and anger in her eyes. She pursed her moist lips, picked up her phone and answered the call. "Hello, Sister Lingxi? You're back." "Yes, we're outside. I brought Cheng to the night market." "Okay, we're going back." Lu Cheng laughed helplessly at the side. He reached out and helped Ku tidy up her clothes. "Humph, it's dangerous to be with you." Xianxia sat back in the driver's seat and calmed herself down. She started the ignition with a blushing face. "I haven't been intimate with you for a long time." Lu Cheng adjusted his pants. Xianxia glared at him and bit her lip. "It'll be fine after a few days. Anyway, I'm on my period tomorrow." As she spoke, she burst into laughter. "I know. Oh, where's your aunt?" Lu Cheng changed the topic and asked about his aunt. "She went to Shushan study to take care of my brother." Xianxia calmed herself down and started the car. The journey was smooth without any accidents. They arrived at the old house of the Ji family in 40 minutes. After parking the car, Lu Cheng and Xianxia walked towards the main entrance. Before they could get close, they heard someone talking loudly inside. "My 300,000 for a gram. It has a medicinal fragrance. It can cure many diseases, It's not as good as your Buddhist beads, Brother Lee. This string of prayer beads is made of ordinary materials. It was blessed by a senior monk from the Daxing Temple and nourished by chanting scriptures every day for half a year. I was unlucky last year, so my dad begged for this string of prayer beads. It's hard to say how much it's worth. All right. Don't brag about it every time. Get one for each of us if you can. What the hell? Lu Qing was confused. This was a field he didn't understand at all. Xianxia glanced at him and said in a low voice, "Don't mind them. They like to play these games." "It's boring." She turned the handle and pushed the door open. 2 men and 2 women were chatting in the main hall. Lu Qing recognized Xianxia at a glance. She looked more like the Empress Dowager than his classmate Ko. She was tall and graceful, but her eyebrows were not sharp enough. "You're back?" Xianxia's white t-shirt, denim shorts and high-heeled sandals showcased her figure to the fullest. She stood up with a smile and said, "Come, let me introduce you. This is Zhang Li, the young master of the Jindi group. His father has a good relationship with several eminent monks of Daxing Temple." Zhang Li's skin was dark and his eyes were ordinary. He wore a dark brown prayer beads on his wrist. "This is Han Jingqiao. His mother is the chairman of the Provincial Martial Artist Association." Xianxia pointed to the other man with a smile. Han Jingqiao was more handsome than Zhang Li, but his eyes were heavy and his qi and blood were not strong enough. He was holding a green pendant in his hand. "This is Guogua. You know her? We've had dinner together a few times. Her father is now independent." Xianxia looked at the girl with long wavy hair beside her. Then she pointed to Xianxia and said, "I don't think I need to tell you. My cousin Xianxia. A few guys wanted to pursue her, but they were beaten to the punch. Hey Ku, introduce him yourself." Xianxia looked at Lu Qing and thought for a moment. The corners of her mouth curled up, and she said simply without adding anything, "He's Lu Qing." Chapter 418. He's Lu Qing. The 4 simple words made the atmosphere suddenly solemn. Zhang Li, Guogua, and the others were silent for more than 10 seconds. "See, this is the heavenly son of the age." Xianxia was the first to come back to herself. She smiled and looked at her companions. Then she turned to Xianxia and complained, "When they heard that Lu Qing was coming, they were so excited and curious. They shamelessly followed me home. They wanted to see what the heavenly son of the age looked like and whether he had 3 heads and 6 arms. So I'm a monster?" Lu Qing replied humorously. No. You're not a monster. After practicing martial arts for a year and a half, you've already reached the top of 6th pin. You're not a monster. You're a Superman." Zhang Li smiled. He was relatively calm. His left hand began to twirl the dark brown prayer beads. "Yes, Superman." Han Jingqiao echoed with an exaggerated smile. Then he asked in confusion, "Lu Qing, why do I feel that you look a little different from on TV?" "How so?" Lu Qing looked at Xianxia with a smile and found that she was just as confused as he was. It had only been 5 or 6 days since he last appeared on TV. Guogua was a short and delicate girl with a rather imposing face. She said in a low voice, "You're a little different. On TV you're more, how do I put it? More flamboyant. You have a temperament that people don't dare to look at directly." "Ah, I understand now. During an intense battle, I will definitely release my aura to oppress and affect the opponent's mind." When the match was over and I was interviewed, I hadn't completely calmed down. Lu Qing suddenly understood. The me on TV was a battle form. So that's how it is. When you're free you're like a forest, when you're in a battle you're like a fire. Zhang Li nodded thoughtfully. They were the kind of people who didn't like martial arts. They would only watch highly watched matches that attracted a lot of attention. Therefore, even though there were many seniors and experts around them, they didn't notice some details. After the small talk, the atmosphere became relatively livelier. Xianxia, Han Jingqiao, and the others sat down and began to chat about various things. It was obvious that they wanted Lu Qing to be the center of the conversation. Seeing that he wasn't interested, they didn't mention the prayer beads and ambergris. Instead, they talked about the gossip in the martial arts circle. Lu Qing didn't care about what they were talking about. He didn't feel the slightest inferiority even if their collection was worth all his savings. Instead, he took it as an opportunity to broaden his horizons and listened quietly. He didn't mind. Time ticked by. Lu Qing pressed on his phone, looked at the screen and stood up with a smile. As time ticked, Xianxia stood. He was surprised. His tone was normal, but there was an indisputable tone to it. Xianxia stood up and asked in surprise, "So early?" "Ever since he started practicing martial arts, he's been living like an old man." "Yeah, so am I." Xianxia explained for her boyfriend with a smile and thought of an excuse to get herself out of this situation. Zhao. We sming, Cheng said, Yen li yen Cheng, let's go fishing and enjoy the breeze. Oh, there are a few underground fights in the international waters. With the existence of referees, the arena matches were more than exciting but not exciting enough. In order to satisfy their own desires and needs to vent, some tycoons would privately organize underground arena matches in war-torn zones and on the high seas. Arena matches without referees. If they really fought like this, even if no one died, there would definitely be a scene of blood splattering everywhere and bones breaking. It would excite the bestial side of humans. Of course, the fighters who were willing to fight in challenge tournaments to make quick money were not very strong. If there was a dance stage 7th or 6th pin fighter, they would have a guarantor and a chance to repay the debt. No need. Lu Qing looked at Xianxia and turned her down with a smile. Tomorrow he would stay at home with Ku and rub her tummy. Today was one of the days left out in the travel plan. Fine. I'll look for you next time. With your listening skill, I'm sure you can catch a lot of fish. Zhang Li didn't insist. He left the Ji family's old house with Han Jingqiao and Guogua and got into his SUV. He took off the dark brown prayer beads and put them on the gear shift. After a few seconds of silence, he asked, "What do you think? What do you think of Lu Qing?" "He's a gentle, friendly, and introverted person." Han Jingqiao rubbed his eye bags and answered seriously. "But don't you think he has a strong aura? It's like he's telling us what to do and we can only listen obediently." Guogua frowned and whispered, "Ah, that's normal. It's the confidence of a mighty one accumulated from victory after victory. My mom is the same. She doesn't have to get angry or speak loudly. As long as she makes a decision, I don't even dare to fart." Han Jingqiao laughed at himself. Not to mention a heavenly son of the age. Yeah. Zhang Li started the engine and started the car. Anyway, whether Lu Qing can reach physical invulnerability or not, I think he'll definitely become an inhuman. Han Jingqiao added, "We're not strong and have no interest in martial arts. It's good to make more friends like him." Yo, I didn't expect young Master Han, who loves wine, cars and women, to say something like that, Guogua mocked. Han Jingqiao usually behaved like a typical rich playboy. "This is called being vigilant in times of peace," he replied, clicking his tongue. Zhang Li nodded in agreement and said slowly, "Since you have this understanding, it's not a waste of my advice. Why do you think Lingxi insisted on coming back today? Sisterly love? Isn't that so?" Guogua and Han Jingqiao asked in surprise. Zhang Li chuckled. "The Ji family is a typical martial arts family. Don't be fooled by the wealth and power of the outside world. Internally, strength is still the most important factor." Guogua interrupted him before he could finish. She played with her long wavy hair and said with a frown, "Uncle Ji's 4 siblings are very harmonious and close. That's because there are old masters and old ladies above them. Where there are people, there are conflicts. Where there are money and power, there are disputes. In order to have strong children to stabilize his foundation, Uncle Ji kept many lovers outside. Unfortunately, none of them turned out to be successful. He didn't dare to bring them home." Zhang Li sighed. "Lingxi has shed countless tears because of this. Don't be fooled by her carefree attitude. In fact, she knows better than anyone else. She knows that she can't achieve anything in martial arts and doesn't want to fight for anything. She just wants to maintain her current status and lifestyle. Therefore, continuing to befriend Xianxia, who has a good relationship with her, is the most reasonable and practical choice. Especially when she has a really good boyfriend, the really good kind." Although Lu Qing had been dealing with the heavenly sons of the age recently, which made it seem like there were many young fighters at this level, in fact there might not even be one in several provinces. At least among Zhang Li and Han Jingqiao, only Lin Ke was slightly close to this level. In a situation where a high-ranked inhuman dance stage fighter could be considered as the upper class of a province, it was normal for the heavenly sons of the age who had a good chance of reaching physical invulnerability to be highly valued. "Brother Li." Han Jingqiao was dumbfounded. He couldn't help but gasp. "You've hidden your strength well." He could see things so clearly. Zhang Li sneered. "My family has a lot of people. If they were stupid, they would have been swallowed long ago. How could I be the young master?" Speaking of this, he sighed again. "I really envy Lu Qing and the others now. They are strong and not afraid of scheming against each other. Anyway, I'm waiting for a chance to help him or be helped by him. Either way, it could improve the relationship between both parties." In the guest room of the Ji family's old house, Lu Qing, who was under the nose of a physical invulnerability expert, didn't sneak into the bedroom. After washing up, he lay on the bed and received a call from his mother. After chatting for a while, Qi Fang said mysteriously, "Your brother has hit the jackpot recently." Lu Qing was dumbfounded. Lu Yanwei really succeeded in starting his business? He didn't say anything about it recently. Erzi expanded his business to Xiaoshan. He asked your brother to help and even gave him shares. Qi Fang gossiped excitedly. She didn't feel jealous because her son was very successful after all. Others couldn't catch up to him easily. Lu Qing was stunned and asked doubtfully, "Who's Erzi?" Qi Fang didn't know what to say. After a while she said, "He's a relative from Qingfu's hometown. He often comes to visit your grandpa and grandma." I remember. He's quite a nice guy." Lu Qing said perfunctorily. "You have no taste. How could you ask your brother for help? Didn't you see how many things he has failed?" Qi Fang insisted that Lu Yanwei didn't have the ability to start a business. "It doesn't matter. It's not us who will suffer losses." Lu Qing laughed. "That's true. Also, your dad got promoted recently. Fatigue put him in charge of the whole factory and even gave him shares. Qing, do you think it's because of you? You just won the national championship and Fatigue brought this up. What's that idiom? What's that?" Qi Fang wasn't well educated. "It's the icing on the cake." Lu Qing added on behalf of his mother, "Fatigue is a nice guy. Didn't he help me in my hour of need?" "That's true. Anyway, if he really asks you for help, don't worry about us. If you can help, just do it. If not, just forget it." Qi Fang said with concern. Yes. Lu Qing answered with a smile. When the phone was hung up and the surroundings were quiet, he sighed with emotion. As he made his name in the national competition and gained the reputation of the favored fighter of the age, everything around him was changing. Maybe it had changed before, but it was definitely not as obvious as it was now. Without him saying anything, the fate of his relatives and friends had changed. It was only now that Lu Qing truly understood what it meant to have a change in status. Chapter 419. The scenery on both sides receded as the car sped along. Lu Qing was a little scared and couldn't help but dissuade her. "Ko, you don't have to drive so fast." Glancing at him from the corner of her eye, Xianxia released the accelerator and slowed down. She blushed and said with an embarrassed smile, "When I see others overtaking me and driving so fast, I want to overtake them. I think it's okay to drive faster. Aren't they all the same?" Lu Qing was dumbfounded. He carefully observed his surroundings, measuring the details with his eyes. "What are you thinking about?" Xianxia unconsciously pressed the accelerator with her right foot in white casual shoes. Lu Qing answered with a complicated expression. "I'm thinking about how to exert force, how to brake, and how to resist the collision of the opposite side if there is a problem." Xianxia slowed down the accelerator again and didn't know what to say. When the car stopped at the traffic light, she asked with anger and amusement, "Am I really that bad at driving? I feel that everything is smooth today except for the ignition at the beginning." "It's not a problem of bad or not. You have the wrong mentality. You can't always think about overtaking others and driving so fast. You need to control yourself. If you often walk on the side of the road, your shoes will get wet." Lu Qing was afraid that Ku would have an accident when he wasn't with her, so he seriously reminded her. Xianxia pouted and said, "Okay, I'll try." The green light flashed and the car started again. This time, the girl listened to Lu Qing's advice and drove steadily. Occasionally, she wanted to overtake and speed up, but she noticed it in time and controlled herself. "Where are we going for a ride?" Lu Qing was in the mood to look at the scenery outside the car. He saw towering buildings and rivers of lights. Xianxia showed her dimples and said in a light tone, "I'll take you to see the night market of Lining first and then to the river bank." The capital of Jiangnan province was called Lining. "Night market? What's it like?" Lu Qing thought of the flea market in Xiaoshan. "Hey, you'll know when you get there." Xianxia kept him guessing with a smile on her face. The car turned left and right, and after half an hour they arrived at a bustling street. At a glance, the street was as bright as day, and simple shops were arranged in 3 rows, winding into the distance. There were people everywhere and voices filled the air. With the help of the reversing radar and images, Xianxia parked the car with a sense of accomplishment. Holding Lu Qing's hand, they entered the night market. There were all kinds of cheap goods such as clothes and mobile phone cases as well as a lot of delicious food. Lu Qing reached out his left hand and wrapped it around the girl's other shoulder. He pulled her closer to him, separating them from the pedestrians who were rubbing shoulders with each other so that they wouldn't brush against each other. The two of them walked and stopped. Xianxia fully enjoyed the pleasure of bargaining. Although she didn't like those things at all, she just wanted to experience life. She also sternly criticized Lu Qing, saying that he had never learned how to bargain. Every time he talked he would say, "How much? 150? Can you make it cheaper?" "No." "Fine, give it to me." After strolling for a while, Xianxia led Lu Qing to a roadside stall and asked for 2 big chicken steaks. While waiting she said, "Their family started from here and now it has become a national chain. But except for here the food in other places is not good." "Really? I think the food in other stores is not bad." Lu Qing asked with interest. "That's because you haven't eaten good food." Xianxia looked at her boyfriend with disdain, and then turned to sympathy. She laughed in a low voice and said, "Poor child, I can only take you to broaden your horizons." While talking, the chicken steaks were ready and put into a bag. They each took a piece, held hands and walked while eating. Both of them felt that this was especially like a student couple on a date. "It's true. It's much better than those in Songqing." Lu Qing expressed his admiration and surprise while gnawing on the tender chicken steaks. He ate half of them in a few bites. Xianxia slightly raised her chin and smiled with a little pride. "I told you, but you didn't believe me. Come, let's take a picture." She took out her phone and asked Lu Qing to lean his head and body over. They held the chicken steaks together and took a selfie. She didn't know when it started, but she, who didn't like to take pictures before, liked to record the interesting things they experienced together in this way. Click. Xianxia pursed her lips and tilted her head, outlining the beautiful image. Lu Qing showed his true colors indifferently. In the end he laughed and said, "Ku, you haven't eaten at roadside stalls before, right? Where did you hear about this chicken steaks?" "My cousin. Well, Sister Lingxi took me here once." Xianxia answered with a sweet smile. Sister Lingxi is indeed a veteran player. Lu Qing nodded in realization. Ji Lingxi was the eldest daughter of this generation of the Ji family, 4 years older than Ku. She was born with extraordinary strength, but she didn't like to practice martial arts. She walked the path of learning and management. She had reached the level of professional 9th pin in her first year of college, and was still at professional 9th pin in her 4th year of college. 2 years after graduation she had just touched the threshold of Dan's stage. She was a very playful person. She did everything like skateboarding, surfing, singing and dancing, hiking, cruising, collecting and buying bags. In addition, she was also interested in experiencing the different characteristics of different places, discovering the delicious food and interesting shops by the roadside. She was the kind of person who could attend banquets and go to roadside stalls. Talking and laughing, they ate from the chicken steak stall to the end of the night market. They ate one stall after another, all of which were certified by the gourmet Ji Lingxi. They took a detour from the outside of the night market to the car. Xianxia led Lu Qing to the riverside, where the cool night wind blew and they strolled to digest the food. Ningjiang's blue waves were wide and spacious. Looking at it, one would feel refreshed and refreshed. The water rushed into one's face, nourishing one's skin and soul. The girl pulled Lu Qing while walking beside the guardrail. She giggled and swayed as if she was still a little girl. "It's getting late. We have to go back." She looked at her watch, still wanting to continue. "We can stay out all night," Lu Qing instigated, half joking. Xianxia rolled her eyes at him and imitated his tone. "Then you'll be chased by my grandpa and grandma all the way to 8 streets. Shivering in fear. Lu Qing joked. It was his first day in the house, and he was already abducting someone's granddaughter to stay out all night. Was he asking for a beating? They opened the door and entered the car from the left and right sides. Xianxia had just sat down, but before she could fasten her seatbelt and turn on the ignition, she felt her body tilting and falling towards the passenger seat. She was pulled into Cheng's arms. "You." Just as she raised her head, she saw Lu Cheng's burning black eyes. After experiencing the continuous bed and pillow sharing during the national competition, Lu Cheng had been itching for a long time because of Xianxia and Ji Mingyu's interference in the past week. It was easy to go from frugal to extravagant, but difficult to go from extravagant to frugal. Xianxia closed her eyes, straightened her slender neck like a swan, and kissed him gently. She sat with her legs curled up, overlapping with her boyfriend. They were very close together. Lu Cheng had already observed the surroundings, so he knew there was no one here. While kissing her passionately, he started to caress her shoulders, back, legs and feet and gradually went deeper. "Could this seat? Can you put it upside down?" Lu Cheng asked eagerly when he kissed her ear. "I can't do it like this." I don't know how to do it." "You can search for it." Xianxia answered in a faint and confused voice. She didn't even know what she was saying. Search for it at this time? Lu Cheng didn't want to be distracted. He couldn't wait to use forced concentration. He leaned close to her and knocked the seat over. At this moment, a sharp ringtone sounded and kept echoing. Xianxia pushed Lu Qing away and glared at him shyly. She pursed her moist lips, picked up the phone and answered the call. Hello, Sister Lingxi? You're back. Yes, we're outside. I brought Qing to the night market. Okay, we're on our way back. Lu Qing smiled helplessly and reached over to help Ku tidy up her clothes. Humph, it's so dangerous to be with you. Xianxia sat back in the driver's seat and calmed down. She started the ignition with a red face. I haven't been intimate with you for a long time. Lu Qing adjusted his pants. Xianxia glared at him and bit her lip. It'll be fine after a few days. Anyway, my period starts tomorrow. As she spoke, she couldn't help but laugh. I know. By the way, where's your aunt? Lu Qing changed the topic and asked about her real aunt. She went to Shushan's study to take care of my brother. Xianxia calmed down and started the car. The journey was smooth and there were no accidents. 40 minutes later, they arrived at the Ji family's old residence. They parked the car and walked to the front door. Before Lu Qing and Xianxia got close, they heard people talking inside. Mine costs more than 300,000 yuan per gram. It smells like medicine. It can cure many diseases. It's not as good as your prayer beads, Brother Li. My prayer beads are made of ordinary material. They were blessed by the eminent monks of Daxing Temple and nourished by chanting scriptures every day for half a year. I was very unlucky last year. My dad gave up his pride and asked for this. It's hard to tell how much it's worth. Okay, don't show off this every time. If you're so good, get us one each. What the hell? Lu Qing was at a loss. This was something he didn't understand at all. Xianxia glanced at him and said in a low voice, Don't worry about them. They like to play these games. It's boring. She turned the doorknob and opened the door. 2 men and 2 women were chatting in the main hall. Lu Qing recognized Ji Lingxi immediately. She looked more like Empress Dowager than Ku. She was tall and elegant, but her eyebrows were not sharp enough. You're back? Ji Lingxi wore a white t-shirt, denim shorts and a pair of high-heeled sandals. She stood up with a smile and said, Come, let me introduce you. This is the young master of the Jindi group, Zhang Li. His father has a good relationship with the high monks of Daxing Temple. Zhang Li had dark skin and ordinary features. He wore a string of dark brown prayer beads on his wrist. This is Han Jingqiao. His mother is the chairman of our province's Martial Artist Association. Ji Lingxi smiled and pointed at the other person. Han Jingqiao was more handsome than Zhang Li, but he had heavy eye bags and lacked vitality. He was holding a green pendant in his hand. This is Guogua. Could you know her? We've had dinner together a few times. Her father is independent now. Ji Lingxi looked at the girl with long wavy hair beside her. After that, she pointed at Xianxia and said, You don't need me to tell you. This is my cousin Xianxia. Several guys want to pursue her. Unfortunately, before they could do anything, someone else beat them to it. Hey Ku, you introduce your boyfriend. Xianxia looked at Lu Qing and thought for a while. Then she smiled and said simply without any suffixes, He's Lu Qing. Chapter 420. He's Lu Qing. The 4 simple words made the atmosphere solemn. Zhang Li, Guogua, and the others were silent for more than 10 seconds. Look, this is the heavenly son of the age. Ji Lingxi was the first to come back to her senses. She smiled and looked at her companions. Then she turned to Xianxia and complained, When they heard Lu Qing was coming, they were so excited and curious that they wanted to follow me home. They wanted to see what the heavenly son of the age looked like and see if he had 3 heads and 6 arms. So I'm a monster? Lu Qing replied humorously. No. You're not a monster. You've been practicing martial arts for a year and a half and you're already at the top of the 6th pin. You're not a monster, you're a Superman. Zhang Li smiled. He was relatively calm. He turned the dark brown Buddhist prayer beads in his left hand. Yes, a Superman. Han Jingqiao agreed with an exaggerated smile. In the end, he asked in confusion, Lu Qing, why do I feel that you're a little different from the one on TV? What's different? Lu Qing looked at Xianxia with a smile and found that she was just as confused as he was. It had only been 5 or 6 days since he last entered the broadcast. Guogua was a short and petite girl, but her facial features were quite imposing. At this time she also muttered, It's a little different. The you on TV is more flamboyant. You have a kind of temperament that makes people not dare to look at you directly. I know what's going on. During a fierce battle, you'll definitely release your momentum to oppress and influence your opponent's mind. When the battle was over and you were interviewed, you still haven't completely calmed down, Lu Qing said in realization. His TV appearance was considered his battle form. So that's how it is. When you're idle, you're like a forest, but when you're fighting, you're like a fire. Zhongli nodded thoughtfully. None of them were interested in martial arts. They would only watch the matches that attracted a lot of attention. Therefore, even though there were many powerful seniors around them, they didn't notice the details. After such small talk, the atmosphere was relatively lively. Ji Lingxi, Han Jingqiao, and the others sat down and began to chat about various things. It was obvious that they were focusing on Lu Qing. Seeing that he was not very interested, they did not mention the rosary beads, the yellow jade ambergris, and other things. Instead, they talked about the gossip of the martial arts circle. Lu Qing didn't care about what they were talking about. Even if one of their collections was worth more than all of his savings, he didn't feel the slightest bit inferior. Instead, he took it as an opportunity to broaden his horizons and listen quietly. Since he had the confidence, there was no harm in doing so. Time ticked by. Lu Qing tapped on his phone, looked at the screen, and got up with a smile. "It's getting late. I need to rest. You guys take your time." His tone was normal, but there was a hint of irrefutability in it. Ji Lingxi stood up as well and asked in surprise, "So early?" Since he started practicing martial arts, he's been living like an old man. "Yeah, so am I," Xianxia explained for her boyfriend with a smile. She also thought of an excuse for herself. "Then it's time for us to go back." Zhongli turned the prayer beads and smiled. "We're going out to sea tomorrow. Do you want to join us? Let's go fishing and get some fresh air." Alright, there are a few fights on the open sea with no restrictions on life and death. There were referees in the challenge tournament. It was more exciting than exciting. Some rich people privately organized underground challenge tournament in war-torn areas and on the open sea to satisfy their own desires. Challenge tournament without referees. Even if no one died in the real fight, there would definitely be scenes of blood splattering everywhere and bones breaking, which would excite the beastly side of people. Of course, the fighters who were willing to make quick money in the challenge tournament weren't very strong. If there was a dance stage, 7th pin or 6th pin fighter, even if they owed a lot of money, there would be someone to vouch for them and they would have the opportunity to repay their debts slowly. No need. Lu Qing glanced at Xianxia and declined with a smile. Tomorrow he would stay at home with Ku and massage her belly. He had left this day empty in his previously cancelled travel plan. "Alright, I'll find you next time out at sea. With your listening skill, you'll definitely catch a lot of fish." Zhongli didn't insist. He left the Ji family's old house with Han Jingqiao and Guogua and got into his SUV. He took off the dark brown prayer beads and put them on the gearshift. After a few seconds of silence, he asked, "What do you think? What do you think of Lu Qing?" "He's quite gentle, friendly, and introverted." Han Jingqiao rubbed his eye bags and answered seriously. "But don't you think his aura is very strong? It's the kind of feeling where you can do whatever you want and we can only listen obediently." Guogua frowned and said softly, "Ah, that's normal. That's the confidence of a mighty one accumulated through countless victories. My mother was the same. She didn't need to get angry or speak loudly. As long as she decided something, I wouldn't dare to say a word." Han Jingqiao laughed at himself. Let alone a heavenly son of the era like him. "Yeah." Zhongli started the engine and started the car. "Anyway, regardless of whether he can become a physical invulnerability expert in the future, I think he'll definitely become an inhuman," Han Jingqiao added. "We're not strong and we don't have the heart to practice martial arts. It's good to make more friends like him." "Yo, I didn't expect our young Master Han, who loves wine, cars and women, to say something like that." Guogua laughed. Han Jingqiao was a typical spoiled brat. "This is called being prepared for danger in times of peace," he replied. Zhongli nodded in agreement and said slowly, "I didn't advise you in vain. Why do you think Lingxi had to come back today? Is it because of their sisterly relationship?" "Isn't it?" Guogua and Han Jingqiao asked in surprise. Zhongli chuckled. The Ji family is a typical martial arts family. Although they have a lot of assets, money and power, they're still ranked by their strength. Before he could finish, Guogua interrupted him. She played with her wavy hair and frowned. "Uncle Ji and his siblings are very close. They're very close. That's because old master and old madam are pressuring him. Haha, where there are people, there will be the underworld. Where there is money and power, there will be disputes. How many mistresses did Uncle Ji keep outside in order to have a strong son and daughter to stabilize his foundation? It's a pity that none of them are good enough. He doesn't even dare to bring them home." Zhongli sighed. Lingxi has shed countless tears because of this. She may seem like a carefree playboy, but she knows better than anyone else. She knows she can't achieve anything in martial arts, so she doesn't want to fight for anything. She just wants to maintain her current status in life. It's the most reasonable and practical choice for her to continue befriending Xianxia. Especially since she has an amazing boyfriend, the kind that's really amazing. Lu Qing had been interacting with the Heavenly Sons of China recently, making it seem like there were many young martial artists of this level. In fact, there might not even be one in several provinces. At least Zhang Li and Han Jingqiao were around. Previously, only Lin Ke was slightly close. In a situation where a high-ranked dance stage inhuman could become the upper class of a province, it was normal for the Heavenly Sons of China, who had a high chance of reaching the physical invulnerability stage, to be highly valued. Brother Li. Han Jingqiao was stunned. He couldn't help but gasp. You're really good at hiding your strength. You see things so clearly. Zhang Li sneered. My family has a lot of people. If I were really stupid, I would have been swallowed up by others. How could I be the young master? He sighed again. I'm really envious of Lu Cheng and the others. They're strong and don't have to worry about scheming. Anyway, I'm waiting for a chance to help him or be helped by him. Either way, it would improve their relationship. In the guest room of the Ji family's old house, Lu Qing didn't try to sneak into the room under the watch of a physical invulnerability expert. After washing up, he lay on the bed and received a call from his mother. After a few words, Qi Fang said mysteriously, Your brother has made a fortune recently. Lu Qing was dumbfounded. Lu Yanwei really succeeded in starting his own business? I haven't heard him mention it recently. Erzi has expanded his business to Xiaoshan. He asked your brother to help him and even gave him shares. Qi Fang gossiped excitedly. She wasn't jealous because of this. After all, her son was very promising and not just anyone could catch up with him. Lu Qing was stunned for a moment. Who's Erzi? Qi Fang didn't know what to say. After a while she said, He's a relative from Qingfu. He often comes to visit your grandparents recently. I remember now. He's a nice guy. Lu Qing said perfunctorily. He has no taste. How could he ask your brother for help? Look at how many things he has failed. Qi Fang insisted that Lu Yanwei didn't have the ability to start his own business. It doesn't matter. After all, we're not the ones who suffer losses. Lu Qing laughed. That's true. Also, your dad got promoted recently. Fatigua put him in charge of the whole factory and gave him shares. Qing, don't you think it's because of you? You just won the national championship and Fatigua mentioned it. What's that idiom? What's that? Qi Fang didn't know much about it. Icing on the cake. Lu Qing helped his mother add, Fatigua is a nice guy. Didn't he help me in my hour of need back then? That's true. Anyway, if he really asks you for help, don't worry about us. Help if you can. Don't worry if you can't. Qi Fang said with concern. Yes, yes, yes. Lu Qing replied with a smile. After the phone call ended and the surroundings quieted down, he sighed with emotion. After he won the national championship and gained the reputation of being the heavenly son of the age, everything around him was changing. It might have happened in the past, but it was definitely not as obvious as now. Without him saying anything, the fate of his relatives and friends had changed. Until now, Lu Qing really understood what it meant to change one's status. Chapter 421. While Lu Qing was on the phone with Qi Fang, Jilingxi kicked off her slippers and sat cross-legged on the bed in Yanzhika's private bedroom. She looked at her cousin who had just changed into her nightgown with a faint smile. Ko, you're so good at keeping secrets. Do you still think I'm your sister? I saw you hugging Lu Qing in the finals a few days ago. That's how I guessed you two were together. If it were before today, Yanzhika would have been a little proud of her cousin's words. However, the truth told by Lu Qing had dispelled her complacency. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She replied, I didn't mean to lie to anyone. Grandpa and Grandma already knew. Sister Lingxi, it's because you're living too freely and don't care about me. That's why you didn't find out, right? She had kept it a secret for a long time. Except for her father, she couldn't keep it a secret from anyone. Why was she so careful with Cheng in the beginning? Jilingxi was at a loss for words. She combed her hair and said, Didn't I tell you that some guys wanted to pursue you? What did you tell me? I don't want to find a boyfriend for the time being. Isn't that a lie? She changed her voice and tone to Yanzhika's to describe the original words. I didn't lie to you. I already have a boyfriend. Of course I won't find another one. I have to be wholehearted in love. How can I have a foot in two boats? Yanzhika retorted righteously. As she spoke, her lips curved into an unconcealable smile. I've already thought about how to explain it. Jilingxi's mouth twitched. She said bitterly, I really want to pinch your face. In childhood, Yanzhika had cute baby fat. Jilingxi almost developed the hobby of pinching her face. Without waiting for her cousin to speak, she changed the topic and gossiped excitedly. Ko, when did you and Qing get together? How long? She had asked similar questions on QQ before, but Xianxia always changed the topic skillfully. She didn't want to share her and Cheng's private affairs with others, even her cousin. Now Jilingxi finally had a chance to interrogate her directly. Xianxia's eyebrows twitched. She pursed her pink lips and answered reluctantly, "We got together on Valentine's Day last year." Speaking of this, she suddenly felt sweet and unknowingly added, "He chased after me for a semester. Ayaya, I really want Cheng to chase after me again. I didn't feel anything back then and didn't get to enjoy it properly." Valentine's Day last year? At that time, Lu Qing hadn't reached 9th pin yet, right? Jilingxi recalled the introduction she had read about Lu Cheng. "Probably a weak 9th pin," Xianxia retorted seriously. Jilingxi took a deep breath and furrowed her brows. She said in surprise, "In other words, when you two got together, he was just a newcomer who didn't show any signs of becoming a heavenly son of the age at all? You have good taste. At that time, I didn't think that he would be so talented as to reach rank 6 so quickly." Xianxia rolled her eyes and bit her pink lips. She said, "I just felt that he was silly and very attentive to me." Yes, very attentive. He was also very motivated and willing to work hard. Chatting with him and going through the challenge tournament with him were very interesting. That's why I fell in love with him." As she spoke, her tone gradually softened. Obvious sweetness and happiness overflowed between her eyebrows. Her eyes were like ripples in the spring breeze. At this moment, Jilingxi felt that her cousin was too beautiful to look at directly. She was blinded by the happiness in her words. Why were all my 3 boyfriends useless and unmotivated? But Cook could pick an old classmate who had just reached 9th pin and pick a heavenly son of the age? Was there really something wrong with her taste or the standard of her choice? After Xianxia finished her narration, she stopped reminiscing and looked at her cousin with gentle and bright eyes. She waved her white hand in front of her. "Sister Lingxi?" Jilingxi came back to her senses and decided not to continue this topic that would make her feel sad. She chuckled and said, "Ku, did I disturb you and Lu Cheng by calling you before?" Xianxia was stunned at first, but then she understood. Thinking of the charm in the car, she couldn't help but blush and deny it. "Of course not. Hey, I'm experienced. First love aside, I have at least 2 serious ones. When you picked up the phone, even as a woman, my heart skipped a beat. If it were a man, he would have knelt down and said, Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll give you whatever you want," Jilingxi said. Jilingxi teased. She reached out and poked her cousin's collarbone. "Besides, isn't there physical evidence?" Xianxia looked down blankly and saw a red, obvious kiss mark on her delicate collarbone. Her collar was wrinkled with gauze and covered her collarbone in a refined and elegant manner. Even Lu Qing didn't notice that he had left a mark. It was only when she changed into her nightgown that everything was exposed. All of a sudden, Xianxia felt her face burning. She wished she could find a hole and hide in it. She had a subtle feeling of being caught red-handed in bed. She jumped out of bed in embarrassment and anger and ran to the dressing mirror. She took a selfie on her collarbone and sent it to Lu Qing. "It's all your fault. It's all your fault. My cousin saw it." Lu Qing had just finished lamenting that the fate of his relatives and friends had changed because of him when he saw the girl's message. I was too excited just now." Jilingxi saw the whole process of Xianxia getting out of bed and taking a selfie. She suddenly felt a sense of loss. This was the kind of pureness and passion that only real first love had. Her first love, which was like a child's play, came to an abrupt end. It couldn't even be considered a first love. By the time she fell in love with him for the second time, she loved him so much that they hurt each other so much that they broke up in the end. By the time she had a boyfriend for the 3rd time, her heart had already aged. She thought more and did less. She was no longer pure and unrestrained. Seeing Xianxia come back bashfully, Jilingxi adjusted her mood and smiled. "Cool, let's sleep together tonight. I have a lot of things to ask you." Okay. Xianxia hesitated for a while and then nodded. When Jilingxi went back to the bedroom to take a shower and change into her nightgown, she lay on the bed and buried her face in the pillow. She raised her legs and swung them. She had planned to calm down and get rid of the blush on her cheeks. However, she inexplicably recalled the passion by the river and the panic between them. Xianxia suddenly sat up and bit her lower lip. She picked up her phone and opened the search page. She seriously thought about the brand and model of the car she had driven before. Then, she bashfully typed a line of words in the search bar with a hint of a smile. "Can the passenger seat of XXX car be flat? How do I do it?" Click. The search results refreshed. Xianxia had just browsed a few when she suddenly received a message from her boyfriend. "Ko, what's the brand and model of the car we just drove out of?" Lu Qing asked with an emoji pushing up his sunglasses. Seeing the familiar question, Xianxia's face turned red again. She replied with 2 words, pervert. Pervert? Lu Qing looked at the inexplicable answer and scratched his head in confusion. I just thought that this car was good. It was fast and stable. If I need a car in the future, I can consider it. That's why I asked. How did I become a pervert? The next morning, Lu Qing temporarily put his doubts to the back of his mind. He got up on time, washed up, and went out. He found a corner in the spacious courtyard of the Ji family's old house. Breathing in the fresh air, he visualized the swordsman formula and the corresponding internal training methods of Frost Force and Zhurong Force. The injury on his arm would be healed by the end of May. Therefore, he was not in a hurry to practice his moves. Instead, he concentrated his qi and blood to comprehend the force concentration of the balance between ice and fire. In practice, he felt the experience of the yin and yang 2 forms that old Master Ji had shown him yesterday. The key to the inhuman level was the strengthening of one's willpower and the improvement of one's mental control over one's root pulp. Under the accumulation of internal training, one's body would show signs of supernatural abilities, and one's quality would change. However, this did not mean that one could enter the inhuman level seamlessly with supernatural abilities. Possessing certain characteristics due to this realm and possessing similar characteristics due to certain characteristics were completely different. They were fundamentally different. Lu Qing's ice and fire supernatural ability came from the stimulation of the Jindan and the blending of power, which was different from his Frost Force and Zhurong Force. If he wanted to enter the inhuman level, he still had to follow the prescribed internal training and change his root pulp so that it was compatible with the martial arts instead of the Jindan. When the supernatural ability of ice and fire, Frost Force, and Zhurong Force were perfectly integrated, there would be no difference. That was one of the main conditions to enter the inhuman level. His qi and blood, spirit, and force all contracted and embraced each other in balance. Then they quickly collapsed and rushed out. Lu Qing observed the subtle changes in his body, looking for the traces of the changes of yin and yang, ice and fire. Unknowingly, the sky was bright and the sun was piercing. Lu Qing put away his stance and exhaled a mouthful of foul air, ending the morning training. His physical qualities were not at the level of the top 6th pin. How could he enter the inhuman level in one step? Calming down, Lu Qing returned to the house and met Ji Jianzhang and Dou Ning, who had also returned from training. They nodded in satisfaction. After breakfast, Jilingxi went out to see to play. Yanzhika's stomach started to hurt, so she went back to her room to lie down. Lu Qing went to sleep beside her and rubbed her stomach with his warm hands. Yanzhika felt the familiar support and the care to relieve the pain. She felt that the pain was not so bad. Sneaking a glance at Lu Qing, she suddenly recalled what her cousin Jilingxi had said last night. "Ku, are you still going abroad?" "Yes." "Are you willing to give up your Lu Qing? Are you not afraid? Are you not afraid of problems?" "I believe in him and I believe in myself." "Then enjoy it. There is only 1 year and 3 months left." Hearing this, Yanzhika's mood inexplicably darkened. She couldn't help but lean closer to Lu Qing. "There is only 1 year left. I have to cherish every day with Cheng." After the pain of the first day passed, Lu Qing and Yanzhika had a good time in Linning with their tour guide Jilingxi. On the afternoon of the 4th, they set off on their return journey. In the past few days, except for her aunt who went to Shushan study to take care of Lin Kei, Yanzhika's uncles, Ling Feng and Ling Yun all had excuses to not come back. When they returned to campus, Lu Qing and Yanzhika's life was once again fulfilling. Every day they had to work overtime to make up for the classes they missed. Fortunately, during the national competition they rarely went out. After watching the videos of their opponents, they spent most of their time studying. Finally, they caught up with the progress before the final exam and were confident about their grades. After the last exam, Yanzhika was about to wait for Lu Qing when the class monitor told her to go to the school office. "Qing, I'm going to the lower house office. Wait for me after the exam." She sent a message with her dimples. Then she followed the class monitor to the dean's office and saw 3 classmates who were in the same training program as her. When the dean saw that everyone was present, he crossed his arms and coughed. "Ivan University has made a request. They hope that the training program can be advanced by 1 year and you can go there in your 3rd year. This way you can adapt better and learn better. The school has thought about it and thinks it's a good idea." Seeing the dean's mouth open and close, Yanzhika didn't hear the rest of his words. There was only one thought echoing in her mind. 1 year ahead, 1 year ahead.